Halo,
Yeah,
halo,
so
selamat
it's the
malam.
first time the deep marks on the side of an.
Okay, are we ready? Okay. Halo, selamat malam. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ad America. Hi. Hi. Okay. Hi. So, my name is Lexi. For those of you who come the first time to Ad America, I'm going to say welcome, and I see familiar faces. Ms. Mara Brown, a couple of our partners from Venus also here. Okay. Welcome to Ad America. I'm going to tell you a bit about what Ad America is. Ad America is an American cultural center. What sets us apart from any other cultural center is that we have what we call digital library in terms of the projectors, if you can see it outside in our exhibition area. Also, we have iPads and touchscreens. Okay? The idea of Ad America is a place where Indonesians and Americans can have a dialogue about all kinds of things. Like today, we're going to have a performance by the Jakarta Community Players Theater. This is the second time that we have a theater performance here. Out of we have 1,200 events during the course of a year and a half. So, give us a big round of applause. It's 1,200 events. Okay. So, without any further ado, to get the party started, that's what I said. Let's call the Danny Whitehead. Sorry. Tepuk tangannya.
Thanks, Lexi. Good afternoon, everybody. And on behalf of Jakarta Players Community Theatre, I'd like to welcome you to this afternoon's performance of 12 Angry Men.
Selamat sore teman-teman sekalian, atas nama Jakarta Players Community Theatre, saya ingin menyambut Bapak dan Ibu sekalian, selamat datang atau menyaksikan penampilan berjudul 12 Angry Men.
The Jakarta Players Community Theatre Group is now 45 years old. And over the last 45 years, we've been providing service to the community by putting on shows for the entertainment of people like yourselves, but also to raise money for a number of charities. And I'm very pleased to say that this year again we'll be making a very sizable donation to Habitat for Humanity.
Dan Jakarta Players Community Theatre sudah terbentuk selama kurang lebih 45 tahun dan sudah melakukan banyak sekali tugas-tugas dan karya-karya yang dilakukan di daerah ini. Di antaranya adalah pelayanan masyarakat, dan tidak hanya pelayanan masyarakat, tapi kami juga sudah melakukan sekian banyak kegiatan-kegiatan untuk menggalang dana. Dan kami sangat berbangga hati untuk bisa menyampaikan bahwa dalam kegiatan kita pada terakhir ini, kami juga akan memberikan sumbangan yang dalam jumlah cukup besar untuk Habitat for Humanity.
In addition to putting on plays like the show that you're about to see this afternoon, the Jakarta Players also has monthly club nights, which are open to everybody to enjoy theatre and improvisation. We have quiz nights. We run a series of workshops to help people improve their skills on the stage and backstage. And we also, as I say, have performances like this. And if you really enjoy tonight's performance, we'd like to invite you to join us again next week, where we'll be performing 12 Angry Men at Institute Kesenian Jakarta on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Jakarta Players Community Theatre juga melakukan sekian banyak kegiatan-kegiatan lainnya. Di antaranya adalah kegiatan bulanan, kami melakukan pertunjukan-pertunjukan seperti ini dan juga melakukan kegiatan-kegiatan disebut sebagai quiz night, di mana kami bersama-sama dengan teman-teman melakukan quiz night, kegiatan-kegiatan di mana kami bisa meningkatkan informasi dan pengetahuan yang dimiliki oleh kita. Kemudian kalau Anda tertarik untuk menyaksikan pertunjukan seperti ini lebih lanjut lagi dan lebih banyak lagi, kami juga ingin mengundang Anda untuk hadir minggu depan untuk menyaksikan kembali pertunjukan 12 Angry Men yang akan ditampilkan di Institut Kesenian Jakarta.
And if you are inspired by what you see on stage tonight, we'd like to encourage you to please join our group. It's a wonderful mix of Indonesian and expatriate actors and crew. And to join, please email us at jakarta.players@yahoo.com.
Dan bila Anda tertarik atau Anda terinspirasi setelah menyaksikan pertunjukan atau penampilan pada malam ini terdorong untuk ikut serta dalam Jakarta Players Community Theatre, kami juga ingin mengundang Anda untuk ikut serta bergabung dengan kelompok kami. Kelompok kami terdiri dari banyak orang, baik itu orang-orang Indonesia maupun orang-orang yang berlatar belakang kebudayaan dan juga dari berbagai negara lainnya. bergabung dalam kelompok teater ini. Jadi kami ingin mengundang Anda, dan bila Anda tertarik untuk bergabung dengan kelompok ini, silakan mengirimkan email atau membuka informasi di, sorry, can you repeat the email address?
Jakarta.players@yahoo.com.
There you go.
Okay. This afternoon's play is 12 Angry Men by Reginald Rose, and it was first adapted for the stage in 1955.
Dan malam ini kita akan menampilkan dan Anda akan menyaksikan pertunjukan dengan judul 12 Angry Men yang merupakan karya dari Reginald Rose yang ditulis pada tahun, sorry, what year was that?
1955.
Tahun 1955.
The play takes place in the jury room of a New York courthouse.
Dan drama ini dilaksanakan terjadi dalam setting sebuah ruang pengadilan, sebuah ruang sidang di hadapan 12 orang juri.
You may notice that the play is called 12 Angry Men, and this was because the play was written in the 1950s, and even though women had the right to sit on juries in America in the 1950s, typically at that time most juries were all male.
Dan kalau Anda perhatikan, judul dari drama ini adalah 12 Angry Men, atau dalam bahasa Indonesia secara harfiah berarti 12 orang laki-laki yang marah. Jadi kenapa disebut laki-laki? Karena pada tahun 1955 yang menjadi latar belakang dari drama ini, juri pada saat itu walaupun sebenarnya dapat dipilih dari antara laki-laki atau perempuan, tapi pada masa itu umumnya juri yang dipilih itu adalah laki-laki.
However, we have updated the play to reflect the wonderful modern diversity that you find in the United States of America and in juries in the United States of America, which now include men and women and new American citizens who may have immigrated from other countries before they were American citizens.
Tapi kami telah memutakhirkan drama yang akan kami tampilkan pada malam ini untuk mencerminkan keragaman yang ada di masyarakat Amerika saat ini. Jadi anggota juri yang akan tampil dalam drama malam ini tidak hanya laki-laki tapi juga perempuan, dan tidak hanya warga Amerika tapi juga warga Amerika keturunan. Jadi para imigran yang telah tiba di Amerika dan kemudian tinggal dan menjadi warga negara Amerika.
And to serve on a jury is one of the rights of which the American people are very proud of.
Dan untuk menjadi seorang anggota juri itu adalah sebuah hak yang dimiliki oleh setiap warga negara Amerika, dan itu adalah hak yang menjadi kebanggaan mereka semua.
We've also adapted the play a little bit to meet the stage here. You'll notice that the jury table is in a V shape, but obviously in a jury room it would typically be one table that all the jurors would sit around.
Dan kami juga sedikit mengadaptasi setting dari drama ini. Kalau Anda lihat di atas panggung ini, meja yang digunakan oleh 12 orang anggota juri itu disusun dalam bentuk huruf V. Tapi sesungguhnya di dalam ruang sidang Amerika, juri itu biasanya melakukan tugas-tugas mereka, diskusi mereka di dalam satu meja yang mereka gunakan secara bersama-sama.
During the play, you may also notice on the wall up there that all the lines of dialogue will be projected onto the wall. Now, this isn't to help the actors remember their lines.
Dan kalau juga Anda perhatikan sepanjang pelaksanaan drama ini, Anda akan melihat bahwa teks dari drama itu juga akan ditampilkan dalam layar di sisi panggung ini. Itu bukan untuk membantu para aktor dan aktris untuk menghafal kata-kata yang harus mereka sampaikan, tapi punya tujuan lain.
The Jakarta Players is very pleased and very proud that for the first time we're able to provide this service for the hearing impaired.
Dan kami juga bangga, Jakarta Players Community Theater saat ini sangat berbangga bisa memberikan pertunjukan ini, menampilkan pertunjukan ini untuk teman-teman yang mengalami hambatan dalam pendengaran.
And as part of the American Disabilities Act, which was signed into force in 1990, many live theatre shows in the United States have this service.
Dan sebagai bagian dari American Disabilities Act yang dikeluarkan pada tahun 1990, banyak sekali pertunjukan penampilan drama di Amerika Serikat sekarang pun juga memiliki pelayanan ini.
And the American Disabilities Act is perhaps the most comprehensive piece of civil rights legislation which supports people with disabilities and prevents any discrimination based on disability. And so we're very pleased and very proud not only to have this service available this afternoon, but also the service of our friend at the front who's providing the sign language.
Dan kami sangat bangga bahwa menunjukkan bahwa Undang-Undang American Disabilities Act itu adalah satu produk produk hukum yang paling komprehensif yang dikeluarkan di Amerika Serikat. Dan kami sangat bangga bisa memberikan pelayanan ini untuk bisa memberikan akses kepada rekan-rekan yang juga memiliki difabel, mengalami difabel, dan juga kami tidak hanya memberikan pelayanan itu, kami juga berterima kasih terhadap rekan yang juga bisa memberikan pelayanan tersebut kepada Anda sekalian.
Before we start, could I please also ask everybody to switch off their mobile telephones or to switch the telephones on to silent?
Dan sebelum kami memulai pertunjukan ini, kami ingin memohon teman-teman sekalian juga untuk bisa mematikan handphone Anda atau paling tidak memasangnya dalam mode silence.
And also, in the event of a fire or if the fire alarm goes off, please can you all exit through the curtain here and you'll see the fire escape right in front of you.
Dan juga bila Anda mendengar alarm kebakaran, jangan panik, Anda bisa keluar menggunakan pintu-pintu yang sudah bertanda exit dan Anda bisa melihat adanya jalur keluar untuk menyelamatkan diri.
And the last thing I want to say today is a huge thank you to our friends from At America and from the US Embassy for hosting the play this afternoon and for all the incredible support that they've provided for us in making this happen. Thank you very much.
Dan terima kasih kepada rekan-rekan dari At America dan juga rekan-rekan dari Kedutaan Besar Amerika Serikat yang sudah menjadi tuan rumah dalam acara ini. Terima kasih banyak atas dukungan dan bantuan yang sudah diberikan untuk pelaksanaan acara ini.
And now, before we start, I'd just like to introduce Terry Kinney, who is the Senior Resident Legal Advisor for the United States Department of Justice.
Dan sebelum saya memulai, saya ingin memperkenalkan Bapak Terry M. Kinney, Senior Resident Legal Advisor yang mewakili Departemen Kehakiman Amerika Serikat.
Good evening, everyone.
Selamat sore, teman-teman.
I must say a few words about the jury system because in Indonesia, and in fact in most countries of the world, there is no jury system.
Saya ingin sedikit menyampaikan mengenai sistem juri karena di Indonesia dan juga di banyak negara lainnya tidak ada namanya itu sistem juri yang berlaku.
And by way of introduction, I'm a federal prosecutor from Chicago. For the last 30 years of my life, I spent presenting criminal cases to a jury.
Dan saya adalah seorang jaksa federal, selama 33 tahun terakhir saya bertugas sebagai jaksa federal di Chicago, dan tugas saya adalah untuk membawa kasus-kasus disidangkan di hadapan sekelompok juri.
We've used juries in the United States since the founding of our country, but juries are really much older. They go back to the Magna Carta, 1066, and even before in England.
Kami menggunakan sistem juri di Amerika Serikat sejak terbentuknya negara kami. Tapi sebenarnya konsep sistem juri itu sudah berlaku jauh lebih tua lagi sebelum terbentuknya Amerika, yaitu muncul sejak Magna Carta pada tahun 1066 dan juga pada saat di pemerintahan Inggris.
And the jury system serves as a very powerful restraint and control upon the authority of the government. Because before the government is able to deprive someone of life or liberty or put them in prison, 12 people must find beyond a reasonable doubt that that person has committed every element of that offense.
Sebenarnya sistem juri itu adalah sebuah alat yang ampuh untuk membatasi kewenangan negara, kewenangan pemerintahan. Jadi sebelum negara dapat mengambil alih hak atau kemerdekaan seseorang, maka harus ada sebuah juri yang terdiri dari 12 orang yang bisa menyatakan secara sah dan meyakinkan tanpa lagi melampaui keraguan-raguan yang masuk akal, dapat membuktikan semua elemen-elemen pidana yang terkait dalam kasus tersebut.
And so juries bring to our system an empowerment of citizens because it takes the average citizen and brings them into the decisional process so that someone does not go to jail until the typical average citizen, one of his peers, has found that he's guilty.
Jadi sebuah sistem juri itu sebenarnya memberikan pemberdayaan kepada warga negara. Jadi melibatkan warga negara biasa masuk dalam sebuah proses pembuatan keputusan. Jadi sebelum hak seseorang itu diambil atau dibatasi, harus ada keputusan dari 12 orang warga negara biasa yang bisa membuat keputusan secara melampaui keraguan-raguan yang masuk akal.
It adds enormous credibility to a conviction because you can't say that someone's been convicted because of corruption, because it's 12 people, 12 average people from his own background, from his own neighborhood, from his own community, who's listened to the evidence from the prosecutor, listened to the evidence from the defense, gone back into the jury room, discussed it, deliberated it, and rendered a verdict.
Dan ini memberikan sebuah bobot yang lebih besar pada sebuah putusan pidana. Anggap saja ada seseorang yang telah diputus bersalah karena telah melakukan tindak pidana korupsi. Putusan bersalah itu memiliki bobot yang jauh lebih kuat karena keputusan itu diambil oleh 12 orang anggota juri yang adalah warga negara yang biasa yang punya tingkatan sama seperti terdakwa. Kemudian anggota juri ini telah menyaksikan semua bukti-bukti yang ditampilkan oleh pengacara pembela dan juga oleh jaksa penuntut. Kemudian setelah semua bukti-bukti itu didengarkan, 12 orang anggota juri ini masuk ke dalam ruangan untuk berdiskusi dan kemudian mengambil keputusan berdasarkan semua bukti-bukti yang sudah mereka dengarkan.
That being said, the jury system has problems. It's not particularly effective, it's slow, it's very expensive, and as you know from the O.J. Simpson case, in the Rodney King case, sometimes it doesn't work. But I think we in the United States have made the decision that bringing the ordinary citizen into the decision-making process when it comes to depriving someone of life or liberty is more valuable than the occasional mistake that will be made by the jury.
Namun demikian tetap sistem juri ini bukanlah sebuah sistem yang sempurna. Karena sistem juri ini sebenarnya kurang efektif dan kemudian berjalan dengan lamban dan juga biayanya cukup mahal. Dan kalau Anda melihat kasus-kasus seperti kasus terhadap Rodney King ataupun O.J. Simpson, itu memberikan contoh-contoh kepada Anda bagaimana sistem juri itu juga sebenarnya tidak selalu berjalan dengan baik. Tapi pemerintah Amerika tetap memutuskan untuk menerapkan sistem juri ini untuk persidangan, untuk pengadilan mereka. Karena kami melihat bahwa manfaat dan nilai yang diberikan oleh sistem juri itu jauh lebih besar daripada beberapa kesalahan yang telah terjadi sepanjang penerapan sistem juri tadi.
And so as you could see both in the O.J. Simpson case and the Rodney King case, the issue of race and bigotry played a significant role in those deliberations, and that's what you're going to see in this case. This is a very powerful insight into how juries actually work.
Dan seperti yang Anda lihat dalam kasus-kasus O.J. Simpson maupun Rodney King, cara juri bekerja itu juga terpengaruh oleh pemikiran mereka mengenai ras dan juga bigotry. Dan Anda akan melihat justru bagaimana nilai-nilai tersebut, bagaimana hal-hal tadi itu mempengaruhi cara kerja sistem juri dalam drama 12 Angry Men ini.
In one concluding note, in the United States, the prosecution must prove every element of the offense beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's another safeguard, because beyond a reasonable doubt is a pretty hefty standard of proof that the prosecution has to meet. But how do you define what a reasonable doubt is? And you're going to see the jury wrestling with that issue. What is a reasonable doubt in this case?
Dan satu lagi komentar penutup sebelum saya mengakhiri penjelasan ini. Dalam sistem pengadilan Amerika Serikat, jaksa penuntut harus bisa membuktikan kasusnya menggunakan standar pembuktian beyond reasonable doubt atau melampaui keraguan-keraguan yang masuk akal. Dan Anda akan melihat nanti bagaimana dalam drama ini bagaimana juri itu bisa melakukan pertimbangan-pertimbangan mereka untuk mencapai pembuktian atau syarat pembuktian melampaui keraguan-keraguan yang masuk akal tersebut. Konsep ini terlihat itulah sebuah syarat pembuktian yang paling tinggi dan paling berat. Dan tidak ada sebenarnya perhitungan garis jelasnya untuk menentukan sebenarnya apa sih yang dimaksud dengan melampaui keraguan-keraguan yang masuk akal tersebut. Anda akan melihat nanti bagaimana 12 orang anggota juri itu harus bergumul, harus mempertimbangkan, mencapai pendapat mereka sendiri untuk menentukan apa yang mereka maksudkan sebagai melampaui keraguan-keraguan yang masuk akal.
And we always say in the United States, the reason why this burden of proof is so high is because we would rather see 10 guilty men go free than one innocent man be convicted.
Dan kami menempatkan syarat pembuktian yang paling tinggi ini, syarat pembuktian yaitu beyond reasonable doubt, melampaui keraguan-keraguan yang masuk akal, itu karena dalam hal menentukan ketika kami harus membuat keputusan yang mempengaruhi apakah seseorang akan kehilangan kebebasannya atau tidak, kami memiliki pendapat bahwa lebih baik 10 orang yang bersalah itu lepas daripada kami menempatkan satu orang yang tidak bersalah dalam penjara.
So after this play is over, if you have questions, we can talk more about how the jury system works. Thank you.
Setelah drama ini selesai, kita bisa akan melanjutkan diskusi tentang bagaimana sistem pengadilan Amerika Serikat itu berjalan. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much, and please enjoy the show this evening. Thank you.
And that concludes the court's explanation of the legal aspects of this case. And now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I come to my final instruction to you. Murder in the first degree, premeditated homicide, is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You have listened to the testimony, and you have had the law read to you and interpreted as it applies to this case. It now becomes your duty to try and separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead, the life of another is at stake. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. If there is a reasonable doubt, then you must bring me a verdict of not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then you must, in good conscience, find the accused guilty. However you decide, your verdict must be unanimous. In the event you find the accused guilty, the bench will not entertain a recommendation for mercy. The death sentence is mandatory in this case. I don't envy you your job. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, let's move along.
Okay, now I can stand here.
Do you want some gum?
No, thanks.
No, I checked up for the weather earlier. It's got to be the hottest day of the year. You think they'd at least air condition the place? I almost dropped dead in court.
Okay, everybody's here. If there's anything you want, I'm right outside, just knock.
I never knew they locked the door.
Sure, they locked the door. What did you think?
I don't know, just never occurred to me.
What's that for?
Well, I thought we'd vote by ballot.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Maybe we can get him elected president.
Well, what'd you think of it?
Oh, well, I guess it was pretty interesting.
Interesting. Geez, I was falling asleep.
Well, I meant I've never been on a jury before, sir.
Now, I've been on plenty of them, and I don't mind telling you, it amazes me how these lawyers can just talk and talk and talk. Even on a case as obvious as this one, you know, did you ever hear so much talk about nothing?
Well, I guess they're entitled, sir.
Oh, they're entitled, they're entitled. Everyone's entitled to a fair trial. Listen, I'm the last one you'd hear to say anything against it, but I do think, you know, if we took these tough kids and we slapped them down a little before they made trouble, we'd save ourselves a lot of time and money.
Hey, how about getting started here, huh?
Yeah, let's get on with it, huh? We've all got stuff to do, huh?
Well, the older lady's in the bathroom. I thought we'd wait for her.
Are we gonna sit in order?
I don't know.
What of you, eh? Pretty. Hey, let me ask you a question. What do you think of this case? I mean, I kind of thought we'd get something like a burglary or a simple assault case, but nah, we got ourselves a winner. Murder case. Woo! Yeah.
Something like that.
Hey, let me ask you, is that over there, the Chrysler building right over there?
That's right.
Can you believe this? I've lived here in this town all my life, and I've not set one foot in that building.
Goddamn waste of time.
Yeah, imagine sitting there 3 days just for this.
What about that bullshit with the knife? I mean, asking grown-up people to believe that kind of bullshit.
Yeah, but you gotta expect that because you know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, I suppose so. What's the matter? You got a cold?
Ugh, and how these hot weather colds can kill you. I can barely touch my nose, if you know what I'm saying.
Your horn's all right. Now try your lights. Ah, it's beautiful. The fan doesn't work. Somebody take a letter to the mayor. Dear Stingy.
Let me look at that.
I didn't get time to see the paper today. Sorry. Is there anything in the news?
Well, I was just checking how the market closed.
Oh, you're on the exchange?
Well, I'm a stockbroker.
Oh, I run a messenger company. It's called the Beck and Coal Company, and name was my wife's idea. We have 29 people, and I started from nothing.
Hey, man and four women, how about getting started, huh?
Okay.
This better be fast. I got tickets to a ball game tonight. Yankees, Cleveland. We got this new kid pitching for us, Monteluski or whatever his name is. He's a bull, this kid. Shoo! A real jug handle. You're quite a ball fan, aren't you? Hey, where do you want us to sit?
Well, okay, why don't we sit in jury order? I mean, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll go around the table, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, if you don't mind.
What's the difference?
Well, I think it's customary to sit according to number.
Okay.
Hey, let me ask you, what do you think about that prosecuting attorney?
Pardon?
It's pretty impressive, you know. I mean, how he had that ability to go point by point, logical sequence, man, bam, 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 bam. That was impressive, really impressive. Yeah.
Yes, I think he did an expert job.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed to have real drive, like a good car salesman, you know? Real drive. Yeah.
Hey, let's get this show on the road, huh?
Excuse me, a gentleman by the window.
Yeah.
Excuse me, we'd like to get started.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's pretty tough to figure, isn't it? A kid just kills his father, just like that.
Well, if you analyze the figures...
What figures? It's these people, I'm telling you. They let their kids run crazy up there. Maybe it serves them right, if you know what I'm saying.
Hey, you a Yankees fan?
No, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee? That's like being hit over the head with a crowbar once a day. Listen, who they got? I'm asking you, who they got besides great groundskeepers?
Excuse me, we'd like to get started.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Milwaukee.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to have any rules. I mean, we can do this anywhere you like. I mean, we could discuss it first and then vote, or we could vote first to see where we stand. I mean, well, that's all I have to say.
Well, I think it's customary to take a preliminary vote.
Yeah, let's vote. Who knows? Maybe we can all go home, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, but let's just remember that this is a first-degree murder case, and if we vote the accused guilty, we will send them to the electric chair. That's mandatory.
I think we'll know that.
Yeah, come on, let's vote.
Yeah, let's see who's where.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody agrees that we vote? Okay, so just remember this vote does have to be 12-0, either guilty or not guilty. And that's the law. Okay? So I guess the quickest way to vote is a show of hands, so everyone voting guilty. 8, 9, 10, 11 for guilty, and not guilty, 1. So the vote is 11 to 1.
Great.
Now we know where we stand.
Oh, there's always one.
So, what do we do now?
Well, I guess we talk.
Oh my God.
Well, look, do you really think he's innocent? I mean, you sat in the same courtroom as the rest of us. The man's a dangerous criminal. You could see it.
The man is 16 years old.
Well, maybe, but he stabbed his father in the chest. I'm 4 inches into the chest, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. I was convinced from the first day.
Well, we all were. I mean, to me, this was an open and shut case. They proved it in a dozen different ways. Look, I tell you, maybe you'd like me to list them down for you. Huh?
No,
Then, what do you want?
nothing. I just want to talk.
Well, what's there to talk about? I mean, 11 of us here think he's guilty. Nobody had to think twice about it except you.
There were 11 posts here for guilty. It's not easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to his death without talking about it first.
Who says it's easy for me?
No one.
What, just because I voted fast? I think the guy's guilty. You couldn't change my mind if we talked for 100 years.
I'm not trying to change your mind. It's just that we're talking about someone's life. I mean, we can't decide in 5 minutes. Suppose we're wrong.
Suppose we're wrong? Suppose this whole building fell in. I mean, we can suppose anything.
That's right.
Well, what's the difference how long it takes? I mean, suppose we take 5 minutes, so what?
Let's take an hour. The ball game doesn't start until 8 o'clock.
Okay, tough guy. You do what you like.
I want to ask you something. Did you actually believe his story?
I don't know if I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So, who's got something to say? How about you?
Not me. Well, I wouldn't mind waiting an hour, talking an hour.
Okay, great. So I heard a pretty good story last night. Yeah, this woman, she came running into the hospital, but she was stripped down to the waist.
No, this is not what we're sitting here
Okay,
for.
then tell me, what are we sitting here for?
Maybe for no reason. I don't know. This boy, he's been kicked around all his life. You know, living in a slum. His mother dead since he was 9. He spent a year and a half in an orphanage while his father served a jail term for forgery. That's not a very good head start. He's had 16 terrible years. I think maybe we owe him a few words, that's all.
I do not mind telling you this, mister, but we don't owe him a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that kid got a fair trial.
Exactly.
I mean, what do you think that trial cost? He is lucky that he got one. We're all grown-ups here. We all heard the facts. You're not going to tell us that we are actually supposed to believe that kid knowing what he is. Trust me, I've lived among them my entire life, and they are born liars. You can't trust a word that comes out of their mouth.
It suddenly occurs to me that you are a very ignorant woman. How can you believe something like that?
What are you talking about?
Born liars? Do you think you have a monopoly on the truth?
What are you trying to make a federal case out of it for?
Well, I think a few things should be pointed out to this woman.
Hey, lady, it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon here, you know.
Monopoly, for Christ's sake.
Okay, if we're going to discuss the case, let's stick to the facts.
Well, maybe if we point out to the gentleman down there who's disagreeing, if we say to him, you know, maybe you tell us what you think, maybe we could point out to you where you probably made a mistake.
What are you doing?
Oh, this? Oh, just doodling a little bit, but rice pops. The breakfast with the built-in bounce. I thought of that line. Yeah, at the ad agency. It was me. Yeah.
Yes, very, very catchy.
If you don't mind.
I'm sorry. Just, I doodle and it helps me to keep my mind clear as I'm thinking. I'm sorry.
Well, we could sit here and we go on forever and ever.
Well, all right. I have this idea. It's just thinking out loud. Flag up the poll. If we are here, us 11, need to convince this one individual that he's wrong and we're right, well, what about if we all just took a moment and shared our thoughts and reasons why we're right and he's wrong? I don't know. Just an idea, just off the top of my head.
No, I think it's a good one.
Anybody let's
who
get it
doesn't
started,
vote?
yeah?
So that means you're first.
Well, it's actually hard to put into words. I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious from the word go. I mean, nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody had to prove otherwise. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. That's in the Constitution. You've heard of it.
Sure, I've heard of it, and I know what it is, but I just think that man is guilty. I mean, somebody saw him do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Next.
Okay. Well, here's what I think. I have nothing personal in this. I want to stick to the facts. So let's start from the facts. Now, the facts are, number one, let's take the old man who lived in the apartment right below the room where the murder took place. At 10 minutes past 12 here, he heard loud noises upstairs and he said it sounded like a fight. He heard the boy yell out, "I'm gonna kill you." A few seconds later, he heard the sound of a body falling on the floor. He heard steps running down the stairs. He went to the door of his apartment and he saw the kid running out of the house. He called the police. The police came and they found the kid's father with a knife stuck into his chest.
And the coroner put the time of death around 12 midnight.
Well, that's right. That's right. Now, those are the facts. Now, you can't refute the facts. That's what they are. I mean, I'm as sentimental as the next guy. No, kid's only 16, but look, he's got to pay for what he did.
That's right. I'm with you, Pops.
Okay, well, it was pretty obvious to me anyway that the boy's entire story was flimsy. First, he claims that he was at the movies during the time of the murder. And yet 1 hour later, he couldn't even remember what films he saw or who starred in them.
She's right. She's absolutely right. You hear that?
Remember, nobody saw him leaving the house or going into the theater.
Well, what about that woman across the street? Because if her testimony doesn't prove it, then nothing does.
That's right. She was the only one who actually saw the killing.
Wait, let's go in order
No,
here.
no, because just wait a minute, because here's a woman, and she's lying in bed, and she's dying with the heat, and she can't sleep, and she looks out the window, and she sees the kid stick a knife into his father. Time is 12:10 on the nose, and everything fits. Look, she's lived with, like, across the street from the kid her entire life, and she swore she saw him do it.
Through the windows of a passing elevated train.
Yeah, through the windows of a passing elevated train. It had no passengers on it, remember? It was just being moved downtown and the lights were out.
Yeah.
They proved in court that you can look through the windows of a passing elevated train when the lights are out and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
I'd like to ask you something.
Sure.
You don't believe the boy. How come you believe the woman? She's one of them too, isn't she?
Let me tell you something.
Wait. Let's calm down. Let's calm down in here. Let's calm down.
Thinks he's pretty smart.
Okay. Try and keep it peaceful in here. Take your seats. How about the next woman?
I'll pass.
That's your privilege. The next gentleman?
Well, I don't know. I started to be convinced pretty early in the case. See, I was looking for a motive. That's very important. Because if there's no motive, then where's the case, right? Anyway, that testimony. Yeah, that testimony from the people across the hall from the kid's apartment, that was pretty powerful, I think. Didn't they say something about an argument between the father and the boy around 7 o'clock that night? I mean, I can be wrong, but yeah.
No, it was 8 o'clock. It was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right,
Yeah,
8 o'clock. They heard an argument, but they couldn't hear what it was all about. Then they heard the father hit the boy twice, and then finally they saw the boy walk angrily out of the house. What does that prove?
Well, it doesn't exactly prove anything. It's just part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
You said it revealed a motive for the killing. Now, the prosecuting attorney said the same thing. I don't think it's a very strong motive. This kid has been hit too many times in his life that violence is practically a normal state of affairs for him. I can't see 2 slaps in the face provoking him into committing murder.
Well, couldn't they have been 2 slaps too many? Everyone has a breaking point.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Next gentleman.
Me? Well, I don't know. It's practically all said already. I mean, we talk about it forever. I mean, look at the guy's record. At 10, he was in children's court for throwing a rock at his teacher. At 14, he was in reform school. He stole a car. He's been arrested for mugging. He's been picked up twice for trying to slash another teenager with a knife. He's a very fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, he's been beaten up by his father regularly. He used his fists.
So would I, a kid like that.
Well, wouldn't you call those beatings a motive for him to commit murder?
I don't know. It gives him a motive to be an angry kid, I'll say that.
Well, that's the way the kids are these days. I mean, they're angry, they're hostile, you know? I mean, God, look at the way they talk to you. Look, when I was a kid, I used to call my father sir. That's right, sir. I mean, you ever hear a kid call his father that these days?
Fathers don't seem to think it's important anymore.
Oh, is that so? You have kids?
2.
Well, I've got one. He's about 20. We did everything for that kid, and I'll tell you what happened. When he was about 9 years old, I saw him back away from a fight. I saw him. And I was so ashamed, I nearly threw up. So I got him right there. I said, I'm going to make a man out of you, or I'm going to break you in half trying. Well, I did make a man out of him. When he was 16, we had a battle, and he hit me in the face. He's a big kid, you know. Haven't seen him nearly 2 years. Rotten kids. You spend your life, work your heart out. God, Okay, let's get on with it.
Okay, I think we're missing the point here. Now, this boy, let's say that he's from a broken home and a filthy neighborhood. We can't help that. We're here to decide whether or not he's guilty of murder, not to go into reasons why he grew up a certain way. Now, this kid was from a slum background, right? And we all know that slums are breeding grounds for criminals.
Yeah, you can say that again, because the kids that crawl out of those places are real trash. No, I just don't want anything to do with them, I'll tell you that much.
I used to live in a slum all my life. I used to nurse that trash in the Harlem hospital 6 nights a week.
Listen, lady, I'm not talking about you.
I used to play in a backyard filled with garbage. Maybe it still smells on me.
Oh, come on, let's just keep this down. It's nothing personal.
It is personal.
Hey, come on, she didn't mean you. Let's not be so sensitive, shall we?
Yeah, this sensitivity, I understand.
Now, let's stop all this arguing. It's just slowing us down. So, maybe if we get on with the next gentleman, it's your turn?
Well, I didn't expect a turn. I thought you were all supposed to be convincing me. Wasn't that the idea?
Oh, okay, right, check. I forgot that.
Well, what the hell is the difference? Because he's the one who's keeping us here, so let's just hear what he has to say.
No, we decided to do this a certain way, so we'll stick to what we said.
Oh my God, would you please stop being a kid?
A kid? What do you mean by that?
Well, what do you think I mean? K-I-D. Kid.
Listen, you think this is easy? Why don't you sit here? You sit here and you take the responsibility. And I'll just stand here and I'll just shut up. That's all.
Calm down.
Calm down? Don't tell me to calm down.
Oh my God.
You think this is easy? You mean things all running smooth and everything? Hey, why don't you sit here? Here's the chair. You take the responsibility. Let's see how well you, Madam Chairman, why don't you run the show? What? You think this is funny?
No, take it easy. Take it easy.
Don't tell me to calm down.
This whole thing is unimportant.
Unimportant? You call this unimportant?
Well, okay, maybe wrong choice of words. But anyways, you're doing a great job. Great job.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to change, right?
That's right.
Nobody
Yeah, you're
wants to
doing
change.
a great job. Hang in there and pitch.
Sit down.
Come on.
Okay, let's hear from somebody.
Well, if you want me to tell you how I feel about it right now, it's all right with me.
I don't care what you do.
All right, I don't have anything brilliant. I only know as much as you do. According to the testimony, the boy looks guilty. Maybe he is. I sat there in court for 3 days listening as the evidence built up. Everyone sounded so positive that I had this peculiar feeling about this trial. I mean, nothing is that positive. I had questions that I wanted to ask myself. They might not have meant anything, I don't know. But I started to feel that the defense counsel wasn't doing his job. He let too many things go, little things.
What little things? Listen, when these attorneys don't ask questions, it's because they already know the answers, and they figure it'll hurt their case.
Maybe it's just also possible for a lawyer to be just plain stupid, isn't it?
Hey, you sound like you've met my brother-in-law.
I kept putting myself in the boy's place. I would have asked for another lawyer, I think. I mean, if I was on the trial for my life, I want my lawyer to tear the prosecution witnesses to shreds, or at least to try. Look, there's an alleged eyewitness to this murder, and someone else who claims that he heard the murder and finally saw the boy running out afterward. There was a lot of circumstantial evidence, but actually those two witnesses were the entire case for the prosecution. Supposing they're wrong.
Well, what do you mean? What do you mean, supposing they're wrong?
Could they be wrong?
No, what is the point of having them on a witness stand taking their notes?
They're only people. People make mistakes. Could they be wrong?
No, they're on the witness stand. No, they can't be wrong.
Do you know so?
It's not an exact science. Come on.
That's right. It isn't.
Okay, come on, let's get to the point here. What about the knife they found sticking in the father's chest?
Yeah.
But, sir, I think you need to wait. There are a lot of people who haven't talked yet.
No, wait a minute. They'll get plenty of chance to talk. You just keep quiet for a minute, huh? Come on, let's talk about the knife.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's get it in here and take a look at it again. I'd like to see it again, Madam Forewoman.
We've all seen it. What are we going to get out of seeing it again?
You brought it up.
Okay, look, that gentleman has the right to see exhibits and evidence. Now, sir, that knife and the way that it was bought, that was pretty peculiar evidence, don't you think so?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. So suppose we're going to take all these facts one at a time. 1, the boy admitted going out of the father's house at 8 o'clock on the night of the murder. 2, the boy went directly into a neighborhood junk shop where he bought a, what do you call those things?
Switchblade.
A switchblade knife, thank you. 3, this knife, it had a very peculiar carved handle. 4, the storekeeper who sold it to the boy said that it was the only one of its kind that he ever had in stock. 5, at about 8:45, the boy met 3 of his friends in front of a diner. Am I correct so far?
Yes, you are.
You bet she is. You listen to this lady. She knows what she's talking about.
The boy and 3 of his friends talked for about an hour, and he left them at about 9:45. It was during this 1-hour time frame that they actually saw the knife. 6, those other 3 boys identified the knife in court as the murder weapon. 7, the boy said that he went home at about 10 o'clock. Now, this is where the stories offered by the boy and the state begin to diverge slightly. The boy says that he stayed home until about 11:30 and then went to one of those all-nighter theaters. He went and see a movie, and at about 3:15 in the morning, he came home to find his father dead and himself arrested. Know what happened to the knife? Now, this is the charming and imaginative little fable that the boy invented. He claims that the knife slipped through a hole in his pocket while he was on his way to the movies, and that he never saw it again. Remember, this is the tale, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's pretty obvious that he never went to the movies that night. No one saw him leave the house at about 11:30. No one at the theater identified him. He couldn't even remember the name of the films that he saw. So, everyone connected with the case identified with a knife. Are you trying to tell me that it really fell through a hole in the boy's pocket and that somebody picked it up off the street, went to the boy's house, stabbed the father with it, and did it just for fun?
I'm just saying it's possible that he actually lost the knife and that someone else stabbed the father with a similar knife. It's possible.
Well, take a good look at that knife. I've never seen one like it, and neither had the storekeeper who sold it to the boy. Aren't you asking us to accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not asking anyone to accept it. I'm just saying it's possible.
And I'm saying it's not possible.
What?
Whoa.
Where'd you get that
Okay.
knife from?
Oh my goodness.
It's the same knife.
All right,
Whoa.
let's quiet down for a minute, quiet.
What are you doing here, mister?
Okay,
Come on,
calm down. Where did you get that knife?
I was walking for a couple of hours last night just thinking. I went to the boy's neighborhood. That knife came from a pawn shop just 3 blocks away from his house. It cost $6.
You know it's against the law to buy or sell switchblade knives.
That's right. I broke the law.
Look, you pulled a pretty smart trick here, mister, but so what? Suppose there were 10 knives like it. What do you think that proves?
Maybe there are.
Well, maybe there's a whole bunch of them. What do you think that is, the discovery of the age or something?
It would still be an incredible coincidence if another person killed the father with the same kind of knife.
Yeah, the odds are a million to one.
It's possible.
But not very probable.
Okay, let's stop all this milling around here. Let's everybody just take our seats.
But sir, I think it's very interesting that he could find a knife exactly like the one that the boy bought.
Interesting? What do you think it proves?
Well, I was just thinking.
Interesting. Hey, you, tell me, why did the kid go out and buy the knife in the first place?
Well, he claims that he was trying to...
Oh, yeah. I remember. He was going to buy it for a friend because he broke his friend's knife by dropping it on the pavement.
That's what he said.
Baloney.
No, the friend who testified did say that the boy broke his knife.
Yeah, how long before the murder? 3 weeks. 3 weeks before the murder. So how come our noble lad went out just half an hour after he was smacked by his father and 3 hours before they found him with the knife rammed into his chest? Huh?
Well, he was going to give the knife to his friend. He just wanted to use it for immediate, huh?
Well, let me ask you this. This is one of the questions I wanted to ask in court. If the boy bought the knife to use on his father, how come he showed what was going to be the murder weapon to 3 friends of his just a couple of hours before the killing?
Oh, come on, all this is just talk. You know the kid lied.
He may have lied. Do you think he lied?
That is a stupid question. Of course he lied.
Do you?
You know my answer. He definitely lied.
Do you think he lied?
I'm not sure.
What do you mean you're not sure? Hey, now, wait a minute. You, what are you doing going around and asking? You a lawyer or something? You're going to cross-examine all of us in here?
Isn't this what's supposed to happen in the jury room?
Well, just let me remind you, in this jury room, there are 11 jurors think that kid's guilty.
That's right. Yeah, what do you think you're going to accomplish? I mean, like, you're not going to change anybody's mind. So if you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, go right ahead. The kid will be tried again and found guilty, sure as he's born.
You're probably right.
So what are we going to do about it? I mean, we could be here all night.
Yeah.
Anybody got a deck of cards?
Madam, for one, I don't think he could make a joke about it.
What do you want me to do?
I mean, I don't know what all this crap about the knife has to do with anything. My salon is falling apart while you guys sit in here and talk. So I say let's get the hell down and get the out of here.
The knife was very important to the district attorney. He spent the whole morning on it.
He's like a 15th assistant or something, so he obviously doesn't know anything.
Hey, all these side arguments, they're just slowing us down.
Come on, man. You're the only one.
I'd like to make a proposition. I want to call for another vote, but I want 11 of you to vote by secret written ballot. I'll abstain. If there are still 11 votes for guilty, I won't stand alone. We'll take a guilty verdict into the judge right now. But if there's 1 vote for not guilty, we'll stay and talk this thing out. If you want to try this out now, I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Well, finally you're talking like a reasonable man.
Check. I'll buy that one, yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Is it everybody? This sounds fair?
Yes.
Yep.
Everybody gonna do
Yes.
it?
Yes.
Okay, please hand these along. Hand these along.
Yes, thank you very much. Here, here's one more.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Guilty. 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 Not guilty.
What? Really?
Guilty. So the vote is now 10 to 2.
And
For
another
guilty.
nutcase flips that goddamn wig.
Are you kidding me? Who was it? Come on.
Excuse me, this was a secret ballot. We all
Secret
agree.
ballot? Secret ballot? There are no secrets in the jury room. I know who it was. God damn, you really are quite a case, aren't you? You come in here and you vote guilty like the rest of us. And then this golden-voiced preacher over here starts giving you these sob stories about this poor slum kid just can't help but grow up and be a murderer. So you change your vote. That is the most sickening thing I've heard. Hey, why don't you drop a quarter in his collection box?
No, wait a minute. You can't talk like that. No, did you? See what Okay, madam, please forget it. He didn't really mean that. He's really excitable. Now, can we just sit
Excitable?
down?
You bet he's excitable.
Okay,
Look,
please, sir.
what are we trying to do? We're trying to put a guilty man in the chair where he belongs, and we're hearing fairy tales, and we're listening to him.
Okay, sir.
Let's just...
Well, look, do you want to put a proven murderer back on the street? I tell you what, give him his knife back. Make it easier for him.
Let's just calm down. Let's stop all of this arguing.
Gee.
Who's got something constructive to say?
Please, I would like to say something here. I have always thought that in this country, a man was entitled to have the...
Let's stick to the subject. What made you change your vote?
She didn't change her vote. I did. And would you like me to tell you why?
No, I wouldn't like you to tell me why.
Well, I'd like to make it perfectly clear if you don't mind.
Do we have to listen to this?
Hey, look, the lady wants to talk.
Thank you. This gentleman here has been standing alone against us. He's not saying the boy is not guilty. He's just saying that he's not sure. It's not easy to stand against the ridicule of others. He gambled for support, and I gave it to him. I respect his motives. Now, the boy may be guilty, the boy who's on trial, but I want to hear more. I want to hear more. Right now, the vote is 10 to 2. And I think that if we just listen to more... Hey! He can't do that. I'm talking here.
He can't hear you. He never will.
Hey, look, if the speech is over, can we get on with the show?
Well, listen, there's one man in the bathroom. Maybe we just better take a break.
Take a break.
Yeah, that's something, isn't it? Hey, hey. Let me ask you.
Thank you.
What, in the line you're working in, like me, I'm in the ad agency, we get in these meetings where all of a sudden we're stuck and we get hung up and going nowhere, and we got all these peculiar people trying to, well, not peculiar in a way of strange, and idiotic or psychotic, but just kind of strange in the way they express themselves, different. But anyways, we'll get into a meeting and, well, I'm sure it's like that in your line of work, right? Where we'll get into a meeting and, what do you do, by the way?
Oh, I'm a watchmaker.
Oh, really? I'm sure the finest watchmakers come from Europe. Yeah. Well, anyways, as I was telling you, we get into the meeting and we're stuck here, and all of a sudden, like, some account executive wannabe brown-nosing his way up the ladder, you know what I'm talking about. He says, hey, I've got this grand idea, trying to unstop the meeting. And he says, how about we run up the flagpole and see if anybody salutes it? What a stupid idea. I mean, how idiotic. Well, here, hold on. I got a better one. Another account executive wannabe, brown-nosing his way up the ladder again. He said, hey, well, how about we put this on the bus and see if it gets off at Wall Street? Ha! Wall Street? How idiotic and stupid.
Hey,
funny.
Hey, that business about there, I guess I got pretty excited. Well, I didn't mean to get nasty or anything like that.
Hey, are you a salesman? I'm an architect. You know what the soft sell is? You're pretty good at it, I'll tell you that. I got a different technique. Jokes, drinks, knock them on their asses. I made over 100 grand last year selling organic preserves. Now, it's not bad, you know, considering organic preserves. Listen, what are you getting out of this, Kicks? Boy's guilty, pal, so let's all go home before we get sore throats, huh?
Maybe they should go to the dock instead of the board.
No difference, pal. No difference at all.
Wasting the stage.
Nice bunch of people, huh? You know that loud guy over there was telling us about his kids? The way he was talking about it, boy, that was an embarrassing thing. Oh, on a murderous day. You think we'll be here much longer?
I don't know.
Look, he's guilty for sure, you know. There's not a doubt in the whole world. Should have been done already. But hey, listen, I don't care. Beats working. But, you think he's innocent?
I don't know. It's possible.
Look, I don't know you. But I'm betting it's never been more wrong than that.
By the way, did you...
Brody, just wrap it up. You're wasting your time.
Suppose you're the one on trial.
Well, see, I'm not used to supposing. I'm just a working man. My boss does the supposing. But, okay, I'll try one now. Suppose you took us all out of this. And the boy really did knife his father?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can we take our seats again, please?
Oh, looks like we'll be here for dinner.
Yeah, like yummy time.
Okay. Let's get back to business. Who's got something to say?
Well,
maybe it would be profitable.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Please excuse
No,
me. I'm sorry.
no,
Please
I
go
didn't
ahead.
mean to interrupt.
No, please.
Okay, well, what I was going to say, this is probably a small point, but anyway, the boy had the motive for the killing, you know, with all the beatings and all that. So if he didn't do it, then who did? Who else had the motive? I mean, see, that's my point, you know. I mean, no one just goes out and kills someone without a motive, not unless it's just plain nuts, right?
As far as I know, we are here to decide whether or not the boy on trial is guilty beyond reasonable doubt. We're not concerned with anyone else's motives here. That's a job for the police.
Well, very true. But we can't help letting the only motive we know of creep into our thoughts, can we? And, of course, we can't help asking ourselves who else might have had a motive. Naturally, these things follow. Somebody killed the father. If it wasn't the boy, then who was it?
Majalewski!
Hey! Something about the man I love here, huh?
Sir, if you don't have anything better to add besides jokes, I suggest you listen.
How? Okay, sorry, I was just letting off steam a little. Let's carry it on.
Well, maybe you can answer me. Who else might have killed the father if it wasn't the boy?
I don't know. His father wasn't exactly a model citizen. The boy's lawyer outlined his background in his closing statement. He was in prison once. He was known to be a compulsive gambler and a pretty consistent loser. He spent a lot of time in neighborhood bars, and he'd get into fistfights sometimes after a few drinks, usually over a woman. He was a tough, cruel, primitive kind of a man who never held a job for more than 6 months in his life. So here are a few possibilities. He could have been murdered by one of the many men he served time with in prison, by a bookkeeper, by a man he'd beaten up, by a woman he'd picked up, by any one of the people he was known to hang out with.
That is the biggest bunch of crap I've ever heard. Look, we all know that the father was a bum. What does that have to do with anything?
I didn't bring it up. I was asked who else might have killed him. I gave my answer.
That woman there asked a direct question.
Ooh, okay, everyone's a lawyer.
Now tell me this then. Think about the old man. The old man heard the kid yell out, "I'm gonna kill you." He heard a body fall onto the floor. He saw the kid run out of the apartment. Now, tell me, what does all that mean to you?
I wonder how clearly the old man could hear the boy's voice through the ceiling.
He didn't hear it through the ceiling. He heard it through the open window and the open window upstairs. It was a hot night, remember?
The voice came from another apartment. It's not easy to identify a voice, especially a shouting voice.
But he identified it out of 5 other witnesses in court, blindfolded.
It's just an ambitious district attorney putting on a show. Look, the old man knows the boy's voice very well. They've lived in the same house for many years. But to identify it possibly from an apartment downstairs, don't you think it's possible that he might have made a mistake? That he thought that the boy was upstairs and automatically decided that the voice he heard was the boy's voice?
I think that's a little bit far-fetched.
I think you can say that again. Listen, the old man heard the body falling, and then 15 seconds later, he saw the boy run out of the house.
Yeah.
He saw the boy.
Correct. And don't forget, the woman across the street saw the boy stabbing the father.
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't that enough evidence for you?
Not for me, no.
Oh, my
How do you like him? It's like talking into a dead phone.
Okay. Look, the woman saw the killing through the windows of the passing elevated train. The L train had 6 cars, and she saw the murder being committed through the windows of the last 2 cars. She described it in great detail. I don't see how you can argue with that.
Well, come on, what you got to say about that, huh?
I don't know. It doesn't sound right to me.
It doesn't sound right. Okay, I tell you what, why don't you just think about it for a little bit, huh?
I wonder if anyone here has any idea how long does it take
Hey, you wait a minute. What are you doing?
This isn't a game.
Who do you think
Okay,
you
sir,
are?
please, sir.
God damn it, did you see what he did?
I don't want
The
any
nerve.
here. Just sit down,
The
please.
absolute nerve.
It's not that important.
God damn it, it's not a game. Who do you think you're dealing with here, huh?
Come on.
Come on, I want an apology from this man.
Okay,
I want an
okay,
apology.
okay.
I
So
wanna
he
hear-
apologizes, okay? Now let's hear what the man has to say.
Take
Thank
your
you.
seats. Sit down.
I wonder if anyone here has any idea how long does it take an elevated train going at medium speed to pass a given point?
What's that got to do with anything?
How long? Take a guess.
10
I wouldn't have the
seconds.
slightest idea.
12 seconds. What do you think?
What do you think?
12. 12. 15.
I don't know, maybe 10, 12 seconds?
What's this got to do with anything?
I think that's a fair guess. Anyone else?
That sounds about right to me.
Okay, what's the guessing game for?
What would you say?
10 seconds approximately.
All right, say 10 seconds. What point are you trying to make?
This is my point. It takes the 6-car L train about 10 seconds to pass a given point. Now say that given point is the open window of the room where the murder took place. You can reach out your hand out the window and almost touch the L track, right?
Right.
Now let me ask you this. Has anyone here ever lived right next to the L tracks once?
Well, I just finished painting an apartment that overlooked an airline. I'm a house painter, you know. I was there for 3 days.
What was it like?
What do you mean?
Noisy?
Well, yeah, well, you know how it is. We're all a bit punchy in our business anyway.
I live in a second floor apartment right next to the L line once. When the window was open and the L train passed by, the noise was almost unbearable. You couldn't hear yourself think.
Okay, so you couldn't hear yourself think. Will you get to your point?
I will. Now let's take two pieces of testimony and try to put them together. First, the old man living in the apartment downstairs. He said he heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." And a split second later, he heard the body falling to the floor. 1 second later, right?
That's right.
Yeah. I think
Second,
that's what
the
he
woman
said.
living in the apartment from across the street. She said she looked out the window and saw the murder through the last two cars of a passing elevated train. Right? The last two cars.
That's right.
Yeah.
Will you get to the point?
Now we agreed that an L train takes about 10 seconds to pass a given point. Now since the woman claims that she saw the stabbing through the last two cars, then we can assume that the body fell just as the train passed by. Therefore, the L train had been roaring past the old man's window for a full 10 seconds before the body fell. The old man, according to his own testimony, hearing, "I'm going to kill you," and then a split second later he heard the body fall, would have had to hear the boy making the statement just as the L was roaring past his nose. It's not possible that he could have heard it.
That's idiotic. Of course he heard it.
Now, even if he heard anything at all, he couldn't have identified the boy's voice with the L roaring by.
Yeah, I could have.
That's just a matter of seconds. I mean, you can't tell that that would have been the case.
Well, the testimony that could put a human being into the electric chair should be that accurate.
That included, so what are you trying to say?
This is the point that I don't
Wait a minute, you people, wait a minute. What's he got to gain, the old man? Why should he lie? What's he got to gain from it?
Attention, maybe.
Attention, maybe. Oh, my God, you come up with these right sayings all the time. I tell you what, why don't you send one to the New York Post? You get $20 for
Hey,
it.
what are you talking to her like that for? Listen, a guy who talks like that to an old lady ought to really get stepped on, you know. Hey, where do you think you're going?
Get your hands off me.
Look, you ought to have some respect, mister. If you say stuff like that to her again, I'm going to lay you out.
Okay.
Now go ahead, ma'am. You can say anything you like. Why do you think the old man might lie?
Well, it's just that I looked at him for a very long time. I mean, the seam under his jacket was split open. I mean, did you see that? To come into court like that. It was a very old man with a torn jacket, and he walked very slowly to the stand. He dragged his left foot, and he was trying to hide it because he was ashamed. I think I know him better than anyone here. I mean, this is a quiet, insignificant old man who has been nothing all his life. Never any recognition, never his name in the paper. I mean, this is a man who would just nobody knows him. And this is a man who would like to be quoted, to be listened to. I mean, nobody seeks his advice after 75 years. It's a very sad thing to be nothing. I mean, this is a man who would needs recognition, to be listened to, just quoted just once. I mean, this is very important. I mean, he could not recede into the background.
Listen, are you trying to tell us this old man would lie just so that he could be important once?
No, he wouldn't lie. But perhaps he'd make himself believe that he heard those words and he recognized the boy's face.
That was the most fantastic story I've ever heard. How can you make something like that up? And what would you even know about it?
Oh, okay, ladies, this case is based on a reasonable and logical progression of facts. Let's keep it there.
Yeah, but the facts can be colored by the personalities who present them.
Anybody want a cough drops?
I'll take one.
Well, just think it. Say what you want. I don't see how anybody cannot see this boy guilty. He's guilty. Just plain as can be.
There's something I'd like to talk about for a minute here. Now, I think we've proved that the old man couldn't have heard the
You
boy
didn't prove
say,
it.
I'm going to kill.
You didn't prove it at all. What are you talking about?
Supposing he did. This phrase, how many times has each of us used it? Maybe hundreds. I could kill you for that, darling. If you do that one more time, Junior, I'm going to kill you. Go ahead, Rocky, kill him. We say this every day. It doesn't mean that we're going to kill someone.
Wait a minute. The phrase the kid used was, I'm gonna kill you. And he yelled it out at the top of his voice. Now, don't you tell me that he didn't mean it.
Right.
Anyone says something like that the way he said it, boy, he means it.
Well, gee, I remember I was arguing with the guy who I work next to at the bank, so he called me an idiot. So I was so angry and I
No. This guy over here is making you believe stuff that ain't so. The kid said, I'm gonna kill you, and that's what he did.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think the boy would shout out something like that so that the whole neighborhood would hear it? I don't think so. He's much too bright for that.
Right? He's a common ignorant slob. You don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak a good English.
I would like to change my vote.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Are you sure?
You've heard me. Yes, I'm sure.
Well, if it isn't the living end, what are you basing it on? Stories this guy made up? I'm telling you, he ought to write for Amazing Detective Monthly. He'd make a fortune. Look, there are facts staring you right in your face. Every one of them says this kid is a killer. His own lawyer knew he didn't stand a chance right from the very beginning. His own lawyer. You could see it. He deserves the chair.
Oh, does he? Well, it happened before. That someone's been convicted for murder and executed. And then years later, someone else confessed to the crime. Sometimes the facts they're staring you in the face are wrong.
I'm talking to her, not to you. Boy, this guy's really something. Look, the kid had a lawyer. The lawyer presented his case, not you. How come you got so much to say?
The lawyer was court appointed.
Well, what does that mean?
It can mean a lot of things. It can mean that he didn't want the case. It can mean that he resented being appointed. It's the kind of case that gives him nothing. No money, no glory, not even much chance of winning. It's not a very promising situation for a young lawyer. He really had to believe in his client to give a good fight. And as you pointed out a minute ago, he obviously didn't.
Sure he did. Who in hell could except God come to earth or somebody? Come on already, look at the time.
Pardon me, but I've been taking some notes.
Oh, notes. Great.
I've been listening very carefully to this case, and it would seem to me that this man has some very interesting points to make. From what was presented at the jury trial, the boy looks guilty. But perhaps if we dig a little bit deeper...
Come on! Get on with it!
There is a question I would like to ask. We assume that the boy committed a murder. He stabbed his father in the chest and then ran away. Maybe about 10 minutes after 12. Now, how was he caught? He came back home about 3 o'clock in the morning, and he was arrested in his own hallway. My question is, if the boy really did the murder, why would he come home? Wouldn't he be afraid of being caught?
Came back to get the knife, man. I mean, you don't leave knives sticking around in people's chests, you know?
Yeah, especially relatives.
Look, the boy knew that there were people who could identify the knife as the murder weapon, and so he had to go back to his father and get the knife before the police did.
But if he knew it could be identified, why would he return?
Well, I think we can assume that he ran out in a state of panic, and as he finally calmed down, he realized that he had left the knife there.
But this depends on your definition of panic, because he was calm enough to make sure that the fingerprints were wiped off of the knife. Where did the panic start, and where did it end?
Look. You can forget all that other stuff. I mean, he came home to dig out the knife and get rid of it.
3 hours later?
Sure, 3 hours later.
If I had killed the father, I would not have come back 3 hours later. I would be afraid the police would be there. I would not come back, knife or no knife.
Now look, you voted guilty with the rest of us right now. Which side are you on?
I do not need to be loyal to one side or the other. I am just merely asking questions.
Well, this is just off the top of my head, but if I had been the boy and I had stabbed my father, I'd come back for the knife, thinking that nobody saw me, thinking that nobody had discovered the body, the police were not there yet. Maybe, yeah, I'd come back and get the knife, and maybe they wouldn't discover the body until the next morning sometime.
Yeah, but this is my whole point. The old woman in the court testified that the moment after the murder, that is, the moment after she saw the body fall to the ground, she screamed and immediately called the police. Now, the boy must certainly have heard the scream and known that somebody had seen something. No. I do not think he would have come back if he had been the murderer.
Okay, 2 points. 1, in a state of panic, the boy might not have heard the scream. And 2, even if he did hear the scream, he probably wouldn't have connected it with his own act. Remember, this boy lived in a neighborhood where screams were fairly commonplace.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, there's your answer.
Maybe he did stab his father, didn't hear the woman scream, did run out of panic, did came back 3 hours later, tried to get back the knife, risking being caught by the police. Maybe those things are so, but maybe they're not. I think there's enough doubt to make us wonder whether or not the boy was there at all during the time the murder took place.
Doubt? Are you kidding me? Did or didn't the old man hear the body falling and see the kid run out of the house? Did he or didn't he?
He said he did.
Oh my God, says he did. Okay, well, did or didn't the woman across the street look out and see the kid stick a knife in his father? She says she did.
Yeah.
And he's making it out like what people say doesn't matter. I'm telling you that the facts are being changed around here. There's absolutely no reason for it. I mean, what the hell do you think that witnesses get on the witness stand for?
Witnesses can make mistakes.
Yeah, when you want them to.
Come on, let's keep the yelling down
You know,
in here.
but maybe what we need in here is just a little more yelling, because all of a sudden everyone's going off every which way. Oh, did hear the scream, didn't hear the scream. Oh, you know, it doesn't matter because they're all little details. But let me tell you something that witnesses
I want to call for another vote.
No, it doesn't matter. I am talking here.
The gentleman called for another vote.
What are we going to get from another vote?
But the gentleman asked for one.
What, I've never known such a waste of time in this.
It only takes a second, sir. It's okay.
Okay, so I guess the fastest way is a show of hands. So all of those voting not guilty, please raise your hands. Okay, 1, 2, 3 not guilties and 9 guilties.
So now where are we? I mean, I'm telling you, we could yakety yak until next Tuesday here. Where's it getting us?
Pardon me. I voted not guilty.
Oh, fuck off!
Oh, come on, this is getting crazy.
The vote is 8-4 in favor of guilty.
Now, wait a minute. You know, we all know the kid lied. We know the kid's guilty. He's got to go to that chair. This is getting like a... Well, can't you tell him something? It's getting a goddamn joke here. Look, okay, you're all starting to get bleeding hearts. Like the president said, you got to get love your underprivileged brother week or something. Look, why did you change your vote? I need to know. Give me your reasons. Why did you change your vote?
I do not have to defend my decision to you. I now have a reasonable doubt.
Oh, reasonable doubt? That's just words. Look, Mr. Reasonable Doubt. Look at this. The kid you just said was not guilty was seen ramming this thing into his father. Look at that, Mr. Reasonable Doubt.
That's not the knife. Don't you remember?
Oh, brilliant.
This is the craziest. I mean, you're all sitting here while he's pulling stories out of thin air. I mean, listen. I mean, if this guy was sitting ringside at the Holyfield-Tyson fight. He'd be trying to tell us Tyson won. I mean, look, what about the old man? Like, are we supposed to believe that he didn't get up out of his bed, he didn't run to the door, he didn't see the boy tearing down the stairs 15 seconds after the killing? He's only saying he did to be important. I mean, what's the point of this whole thing? I mean, we could be...
Hold it a second.
And we hear from Miss Milwaukee.
Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ran, walked. What's the difference? He got there.
He said he ran to the door. At least I think he did.
I don't know. I don't think he did.
Ran or walked?
Oh, okay. He said.
Remember, he said.
He said he went from the bedroom to the front door. Now, isn't that enough?
Wait a minute. Where was his bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere. I thought you remembered everything. You don't remember that?
No. Madam Forewoman, I'd like to take a look at the diagram of the apartment.
I'm telling you, why don't we run the whole trial over again just so that you can get everything straight?
Madam Forewoman.
I heard you.
How come it's only you that wants to see all these exhibits the whole damn time, huh?
I want to see this one too.
Well, I want to stop wasting time.
Okay, look, if we're going to go wading through all that business about where the body was found...
We're not. Not unless someone else here wants to.
Bring it in yourself, right?
I just want to see how a very old man who drags one leg when he walks because he had a stroke last year could get from his bed to the front door in 15 seconds.
20 seconds.
He said 15.
And I'm telling you, he said 20. You're trying to distort
He said
things.
15.
How can he judge that? He can't judge that kind of thing accurately.
He said 15. He was positive about
He was
that.
old. You saw him. Half the time he was confused. How would he know what was positive? He wouldn't know anything was positive.
Well, I don't know what you got. We're going to prove by this out here.
Well,
I have no idea.
Let's see if the details bear him out. As soon as he heard the body falling, he said he heard footsteps upstairs running toward the front door. Then he heard the upstairs front door open, and he heard footsteps going down the stairs. Now, he said he got to the front door as fast as he could. He swore it could have been more than 15 seconds. Now, if the killer began running immediately, now that would give him time.
Well, so? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't.
The old man said he did.
Listen, you ought to be down in Atlantic City at that hair splitters
Hey,
convention.
listen, baseball. Why don't you stop making smart remarks all the time?
My friend, for your $20 a day, you gotta listen to everything, huh?
Well, you...
Now here's the apartment where the murder took place. The old man's apartment is directly beneath this, exactly the same. Now here are the L tracks. L tracks should be here. And here's his bedroom. He was in bed in this bedroom. Now he said he got up, he went to the hall, down the hall, to the front door, opened the door, looked out, just in time to see the boy racing down the stairs. Am I right so far?
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the umpteenth time, you're right.
15 seconds after he heard the body fall.
Yeah, correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Now his bed is by the window. It's 12 feet from the bed to the bedroom door. The length of the hall is 43 feet 6 inches. Now he had to walk 12 feet from the bed. He got up, went 12 feet to the bedroom door, opened the bedroom door, and walked 43 feet to the front hall and opened the front door all in 15 seconds. You think he could have done it?
Yeah, sure, he could have done it.
Yeah, he could have done it.
Yeah.
Oh, he could only walk very slowly. They had to help him into the witness chair.
Making it sound like a long walk, and it wasn't.
It is a long walk for a man who's had a stroke.
Here's the old man's bed.
What the hell are you doing?
I want to try this. I want to see how long it took him.
You can't try that kind of thing. Why didn't the kid's lawyer bring it up if it's so damned important.
Well, maybe he just didn't think of it.
Well, what do you mean he didn't think of it? You think he's like an idiot or something? Of course he probably thought about it.
Did you think of it?
Listen, smartass, doesn't matter whether I thought of it.
So this is the old man's bed. I'm going to face off 12 feet the length of the bedroom.
It's crazy. You can't recreate a thing like this.
So this is the bedroom door. The hall is a little bit over 43 feet, so I'm going to face off that wall and back again.
Are you kidding me? This is absolutely insane. You're going to waste everybody's time.
According to you, it will only take 15 seconds. We can spare that. 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. Could you pass me your chair, please?
Oh, here.
Thank you. So let's say this is the front door. It was chain locked according to the testimony. Now, who's got a watch with a second hand?
Oh, I have.
Oh. Standard.
Okay. When you want me to start, stamp your foot. That'll be the body falling.
Sure.
Time me from there.
Okay.
Anyone for charades?
I've never seen anything like this.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, let's go.
I want to wait until second 160, okay?
Oh my God!
Snap it up. The old man moved twice as fast as that.
This is, I think, even faster than he went in the courtroom.
If you want me to walk faster,
Yeah.
I will.
Move on.
Now come on, will you finish this kid stuff? God!
Come on. Get it over with.
Stop.
Right.
What's the time?
It's 20, 30. It's 42 seconds exactly.
42
That's 42 seconds.
Well, Daddy said 15, not 15 or 20 seconds.
I think this is what happened. A few hours earlier, the old man heard the boy fight with his father. A few hours later, he was in bed. He heard the body falling in the boy's apartment. He got up, tried to get to the front door, heard someone racing down the stairs, and assumed it was the boy.
I think that's possible.
Assume? Now wait a minute. No, wait a minute, everyone here. I've heard a lot of dishonesty in my life, but this little display just about takes the cake. My God, you come in here with your sanctimonious talk about slum kids and injustice, you start winding some fairy tales around the table here, and these old ladies start buying into it. Well, I ain't buying into it. We know the kid was guilty. He's got to go to the chair. That kid's got to burn, and we are letting him slip through our fingers.
Slip through our fingers? Are you his executioner?
I'm one of them.
Maybe you'd like to pull the switch.
On this kid, you bet I would.
I feel sorry for you.
Now, don't you start on me.
Ever since we walked into this room, you've been behaving like a self-appointed public avenger.
I'm telling you to shut up.
You want to see this boy die because you personally want it, not because of the facts.
Shut up!
You're a sadist.
You shut up, you son of a bitch!
Stop this!
You don't mean you're really going to kill me, do you?
Let's take it easy.
Is there something going on? I heard something.
No, just a little argument. We've got it under control. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, we're finished with this.
Oh.
What you looking at me for? God.
Well, I suppose someone has to get it started off again. It's, I don't know. Snacks?
No, thank you. Thank you.
Madam Foreman, it's getting late. What do they do? Take us out to a restaurant for supper or what?
How do I know?
You know, I wonder if they let us go in case we can't finish it tonight. I've got my little brother at home. He's with measles. It's everywhere. And You know, it's my poor little brother. I miss him.
I don't know.
Pardon me. This fighting. This is not why we are here to fight. We have a responsibility. This is the thing that I have always thought was so amazing about a democracy. We are what? We are notified. We are notified to come down here to this room to determine the guilt or the to determine the guilt or the innocence of a person we don't even know. We have nothing to lose or to gain by our decision. This is what makes us powerful. We should not take it personal. That's all I have.
I think we should have a vote. I think we should have an open ballot so we can see where we all stand.
Well, that sounds fair. Does anybody object? All right. I'll call out your number, and please give me your vote. I vote guilty. Juror number 2.
Not guilty.
Juror number 3.
Guilty.
Juror number 4.
Guilty.
Juror number 5.
Not guilty.
Juror number 6.
Not guilty.
Juror number 7.
Guilty.
Juror number 8.
Not guilty.
Juror number 9.
Not guilty.
Juror number 10.
Guilty.
Juror number 11.
Not guilty.
Juror number 12.
Guilty.
6 to 6.
6 to 6? I'm telling you, some of you people are out of your goddamn minds. A kid like that.
I don't think the kind of boy he is has anything to do with it. The facts are supposed to determine the case.
I am sick and tired of the facts because you can twist them any way you like.
That's exactly what this man has been trying to point out the whole time. All you keep doing is screaming and shouting.
Up.
Oh, I wish I was younger.
Would you like me to get you some water?
No, thanks.
I think it's gonna rain.
No. How'd you figure that out, tough guy? Tell me, how come you switched?
Well, I was just...
You ain't got a leg to stand on. You know that, don't you?
No, that's not so. There are a lot of details that never came out.
What are you talking about details? Because you're just letting yourself get bulldozed by a bunch of, I don't know what you call them, intellectuals.
But that's not now, so.
You're just like everybody else because you're just being a big pushover.
Hey, you don't have any right to like that. You bitch.
Oh, look at it come down. Do you think it'll cool things off?
Yeah, I guess so.
We had something, I think. Well, we were right in the middle of the game, you know, and we had possession of the ball, and then we had this slattery kid, you know, boom, boom, ha! What a great spiker she was. What an athlete, you know. I wish we had more like her. Anyway, oh, I forgot to tell you. I'm assistant head coach at our Andrew J. McCarthy High School. That's in Queens. Anyway, we just got possession of the ball, and their line is 6 to 7. We're behind 6 to 7. Their line's falling apart, and then all of a sudden it just starts to pour. Just come down, you know, and within 2 minutes, we're up to our ass in water. Couldn't go anywhere. Couldn't move the ball. I almost bawled. Yeah, almost bawled.
Hey, how about getting his fan going, huh? God, wasn't even connected properly.
Well, some rain, huh? What do you think about it in there?
Well,
Even Steven, 6'6", quite a bit of a surprise.
pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I don't... You know that guy that was winding me up back there? And that doesn't prove a damn thing, you know. I mean, where does he get off calling me a public avenger and a sadist and everything? It don't make any difference. I'm an excitable kind of guy, and he was just trying to bait me.
Well, he did a pretty excellent job.
Well, maybe he did. Like I said, I'm a certain kind of person. I get moved by these things, but I tell you, I am sincere.
Well, fine, we all are.
6 to 6, it's a goddamn joke.
Can we do something about it?
I mean,
Can we break it somehow?
The 6 assholes in there aren't going to change their minds.
Well, 5 of them already did. There's no
Well, there you
reason
go.
why the other 6 cannot be persuaded to do it again.
Okay, how?
Just by using logic?
Oh, logic, yeah.
No, no, no,
great
no.
idea.
You listen to this woman. She's the only one knows what's happening in that room.
Do you want my opinion?
Go ahead.
I think we should just quit.
What?
You what?
You don't mean that.
Yes, I do. Those 6 assholes are acting like it's some sort of mission of theirs or something. They're not going to change their minds. So let's go in and tell the judge we're hung.
That's the
We'll
most
be here all
ridiculous
night.
thing I've ever heard.
What? What? You wanted my honest opinion.
Well,
Well, you can't, no, come on, you can't just quit.
Why
You,
not?
you took an oath, it's dishonest. Why don't you just say he's not guilty?
I voted guilty because I think the kid is guilty.
And now you don't care.
No, I don't. Why should I?
Okay, look, we're not going to get anywhere like this. Okay.
I'm just saying what I think.
Okay, I know.
Oh, I suppose you probably don't think much of it.
No, I don't. Well, if you both would excuse me.
We're not going to get anywhere with a hung jury. They're just going to do the trial again, and that's not what we're here for.
Well, what is the difference? Because a hung jury is what they're going to get.
We'd like to get things going in here again, please.
Okay, I'd like to say something. I don't think that we're going anywhere here, so I'm going to go into the judge's room and tell him we're hung.
Yeah, I go for that too.
Exactly.
Let's take it into the judge and let the kid take his chances with 12 other schmucks.
I'm not in
You
favor of
really
this.
don't think there is any room for reasonable doubt?
I don't think the court would accept this. We haven't been in here very long.
Well, let's find out.
No, I don't like this.
Listen, this kid wouldn't stand a chance with another jury. You know it. Come on. We're hung. Nobody's going to change their opinion. Let's take it inside.
Perhaps you do not fully understand the meaning of the words reasonable doubt.
What do you mean I don't understand the words reasonable doubt? How do you like this guy? They're all the same. Come over to this country fleeing for their lives. Next thing you know, they're telling us how to run the show. The arrogance of the guy.
You calling him arrogant because he wasn't born here? Well, I'm calling you arrogant because you were. How's that?
No, it's not important.
No. Listen, nobody around here is going to tell me what words I understand and what words I don't. Especially this guy. Because I'll knock your Pollock head off.
Come on, can we stop the arguing for 2 minutes here? Let's stick to the subject. Okay. Okay, who's got something else to say?
I'd like to go over something, if you don't mind. The important point for the prosecution side was the fact that the boy, after he claimed that he was at the movies during the time the murder took place, he couldn't name the movies, and he couldn't name the stars who appeared in them. That lady over there has repeated this point in here several times.
Correct. The boy couldn't name the movies because he wasn't there that night.
Putting yourself in the boy's place for a moment, if you can. Would you be able to remember details after an upsetting experience such as being struck in the face by your father?
I believe so, especially if there are any special details to remember.
According to the testimony, the boy was questioned by the police in court. No, not in the court. The testimony of the police in court. The boy was questioned in the kitchen of his apartment while the body of his father was lying down on the floor in the bedroom in the same apartment. Would you be able to remember details after such an upsetting experience?
I believe I can.
Under great emotional stress.
Under great emotional stress.
He remembered the movies in court. He named them correctly, and he named the star who played in them.
Well, it took his lawyer great pains to draw that out of him. Remember, this boy had 3 months from the night of the murder till the day of the trial in which he had to memorize them. I'll take the testimony of the policeman who interrogated him that night, where he couldn't remember a thing, great emotional stress or not.
I'd like to ask you a personal question.
Go ahead.
Where were you last night?
I was home.
What about the night before last?
Oh, come on. What are you doing?
It's perfectly all right. I went from court to my office, stayed there until 8:30, and then I went home to bed.
And the night before that?
Okay, Tuesday was the night of the bridge tournament. I played bridge.
And Monday night?
Hey, when you get it down to New Year's Eve 1999, let me know.
Okay, the question again, Monday night, you asked? Monday night I was with my husband, and we saw a movie. It was classic movies night, double feature.
What did you see?
Scarlet Circle. Clever whodunit.
What was the second feature?
I'll tell you in a minute. What was the word again? The Remarkable Mrs. Bainbridge. The Remarkable Mrs. Bainbridge.
Excuse me, miss. I own the DVDs, and it's not the Remarkable Mrs. Bainbridge. It is the Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge.
The Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge. There you go.
Who was in Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge?
Oh God, dark, pretty girl, Barbara. Was her name Barbara? Barbara. Oh, help me out here. Barbara Lane? Oh God, Barbara Lane.
Who else was in Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge?
Okay, look, listen. This is a B-list movies from the 1970s. I wasn't even born that era. How can you expect me to know the names of the stars who played in that? Oh my God, did I just say that?
And you weren't under emotional strain, were you?
No, I wasn't.
I think the point is made.
Yeah, a big point.
It is a big point.
What? Because you can't remember the name of some 2-bit movie star? Yeah, I guess that proves the kid was at the movies.
No. It proves that no one, it's just that it indicates that no one can prove he wasn't there. I mean, he probably was at the movies and he just can't remember. It's possible. If it's perfectly normal for this woman not to remember details, then it's also perfectly normal for the boy to forget details. I mean, just because you're accused of murder doesn't necessarily give you an infallible memory.
You can talk until your tongue is dragging on the floor, but the boy is guilty. Period. Who's got those cough drops?
Oh, they're all gone, my friend.
You know, there's something that we're forgetting about that the part with the psychiatrist that went on forever and ever.
Don't get me started on that psycho babble crap. What a bunch of racket that is, filling people's heads with crap like that.
Excuse me, there's a point that I'm trying to make, if you don't mind.
No, I'm just saying that I wouldn't give a nickel for a psychiatrist test me. I got 3 of them that come into the salon, and I will tell you that all 3 of them are crazy.
Why don't you let her talk? You can take 5 minutes on the uselessness of psychiatry when she's finished.
Thank you. What I was trying to say was that the psychiatrist said that this boy did have homicidal tendencies.
Right.
You know, that he was capable of committing murder. And he went through all the tests with the ink blots and all that, and he did say that this boy did have murder on his mind.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Paranoid tendencies.
Oh, whatever he said. But anyway, he did say that this boy was a vicious type and that he did have murder on his mind.
His unconscious mind.
Yeah, I beg pardon.
No one else's.
When we are discussing this,
Beg pardon. What are you so goddamn polite about?
for the same reason that you are not polite, it is the way that I was raised. In discussing such a thing as the murder potential, we must remember that many of us are capable of committing murder. Yet few of us do. We impose controls on ourselves to prevent it. The most these tests can show is that someday a particular person may commit murder. That is all. They prove nothing.
Well, then, how come they're admitted in evidence?
Oh, of course, they have many different uses. In this case, it went to help to give the general impression the prosecution was trying to give. Perhaps if the 12 of us jurors were to take the same kinds of tests, we would find that one or two of us has the psychological tendencies to want to commit murder and the probability or capability of doing it. The potentiality, he said, of doing it. Yet none of us has. To say a man is capable of murder does not mean he committed murder.
But it can mean it. Look, if they say the boy was capable of killing, he could have killed, couldn't he?
You're the one who said, and I quote, "I wouldn't give a nickel for a psychiatrist's testimony."
Telling you. Boy, I would like to pay.
Hey, let's keep the yelling down here.
Hey, what time is it? It's 5 of 6. Man, look at that rain.
There goes your ball game.
Miss, could I see the knife for a second?
So we're still tied up 6-6. Anybody got a suggestion?
I have. Dinner time.
Yeah.
Let's wait until 7. Just give it another hour, please.
All right. Okay, I'll go with it.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is something I'd like to say. It's been bothering me a little, and as long as we're stuck, this about the whole business about the step wound and how it was made, the downward angle of it, you know?
But come on, you're not going to go over that whole knife thing again, are you? They went over and over it in court already.
Well, I know, but I just don't go along with it. You know, the boy is 5 feet 7 inches tall, and his father was 6'2", so his father was taller than him, right? And I think it was a very awkward thing to step down into the chest of someone who is a half a foot taller than you are.
Hey, give me that. Give me that. You can see some of you people ain't going to be convinced until you see it happening. So I'm going to give you a demonstration. Okay? I need a volunteer.
Somebody else.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Now you watch carefully, because I don't want to do this more than once. Now, I would say that right now I'm about 6 or 7 inches shorter than you, right?
That's right, maybe a little more.
Little more. Let's make it a little bit more.
Oh my God.
Hey, that's not funny.
What is the matter
It's
with
not funny,
you?
sir.
Jeez.
Come on, calm down. Nobody got hurt, did they?
No, nobody's hurt.
Well, there you are. There's your angle. Down and in, down and in. That's how a shorter man would stab a taller man in the chest. That's how it was done. Now you tell me that I'm wrong. Here.
Oh.
Yeah. Down and in. There's
Wait
your
a
argument.
minute. Give me that. Hey.
Sure, lady. Whatever.
I hate these things. I grew up with them.
Have you seen them used in fights?
Too many of them. On my stoop, in the backyard, and a lot across the street. Funny, I wasn't thinking of this. I guess you try to forget about those things. In order to use these knives, release the blade, you need to hold it this way. To stab downward, you need to change your grip.
How do you use it?
Underhanded. Like that. Anyone who's ever used this kind of knife would not use it any other way.
Are you sure?
Very sure.
Well, how do you know? Were you in the
That's
room
why
with him when he
they're
was
made
killed?
like this. No, I wasn't in the room. Neither was anyone else. What's the matter with you?
You're talking a lot of mumbo-jumbo. I just don't believe this.
Okay, look, I don't think you can determine what type of wound that boy could have or could have not made simply on the fact that he's skilled with using switchblade knives.
You're right. Absolutely right.
Is it possible? What do you think?
No. Huh? I don't know. No.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know. I'm sorry, okay?
Oh, God.
What about you? What do you think?
Well, okay, look, listen. Let's talk about the lady across the street for a minute.
Look. Listen, I've had enough of this. Like, all this yakking is getting us nowhere, so, I'm gonna break things up. I'm switching my vote to not guilty.
You what?
What?
You heard me? I've had enough.
You've had enough? That's not an answer.
Hey, just you worry about yourself, old man, huh?
He's right. That is not an answer. What kind of a man are you? You've been sitting here and voting guilty with everybody else because you've got the 2 baseball tickets burning a hole in your pocket? And now you want to vote not guilty because you're tired of all the talking?
Now listen, buddy.
You listen to me. You have no right to play with a man's life like this. It is an ugly and a terrible thing to do. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Don't you care?
Who the hell are you to talk to me like that?
I can talk to you like that. If you want to vote not guilty, do it because you think he's not guilty, not because you're tired of all the talking.
Now listen!
And if you want to vote guilty, or do it. Or don't you have the guts to do what you think is right?
Listen!
Guilty or not guilty?
I told you, not guilty.
Why?
I don't have to
You do have to tell me. Why?
I don't think he's guilty.
Oh, God.
Madam Forewoman, I'd like to call for another vote.
God. Where's another vote gonna get us?
There's another vote called for. And so I guess the quickest way is a show of hands. So all those voting not guilty, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9. So 9-3 in favor of not guilty.
I do not understand you people. All these picky little points you keep bringing up. I mean, how can you believe his story? You're an intelligent man. Well, you're not going to tell me you're not. I mean, look at what we're dealing with here. That guy over there, I don't know what the hell his problem is, because all this talk about psychiatrists, maybe you ought to go see one. Look, these people are born to lie. Now it's the way they are, and no intelligent man is going to tell me otherwise. I mean, just take a look at them. They're different. They think different. They act different. Well, for instance, they don't need a big excuse to go outside and kill someone. It's true. They get drunk on, like, Smirnoff Ice or something. They're really, really big drinkers. No, it's true. And then they're drinking all the time, and then all of a sudden, like, I don't know, someone's lying dead in a gutter, all right? No one's blaming them for it. It's how they are by nature. I mean, family don't mean anything to them. Mothers, fathers, nothing. They breed like animals.
Do you know you are a sick woman?
Sick?
Why don't you sit down and shut up already?
You're like a crazy old bitch, and who the hell are you? You can hardly stand up. No, who the hell is she to talk to me like that? I am talking, and you can listen. Now listen, because there's not one of them that's any good. All right? They're violent, and they're vicious, and their intention is to cut us up. That's their intention. This kid on trial, do you know his type is breeding 5 times faster than we are? 5 times. That is a statistic, and if we're not careful, if we don't get rid of them, they're going to get rid of us. They're going to breed us out of existence.
Oh, shut up!
Oh, you goddamn geniuses better listen, because we are living in a very dangerous time. Their intention is to get rid of us.
I've heard enough, okay? Why don't you just stop all of this?
Oh my God, why don't I smack your stupid head
It's very hard to keep personal prejudice out of a thing like this. No matter where you run to it, prejudice obscures the truth. Now, I don't think any real damage has been done here, because I don't know what the truth is. No one can ever know. 9 of us now seem to feel that the defendant is innocent. We're just gambling on probabilities. We may be wrong. We may be sending a guilty man back to the community. No one can ever know. But we have a reasonable doubt. And that's a safeguard that has enormous value in our system. No jury can declare a man guilty unless it's sure. We 9 can't understand how you 3 are still so sure. Maybe you can tell us.
I'll try. We'll take a seat. Now, you made some pretty excellent points, sir. That last one about the possibility of an overhand stab wound, that was pretty convincing. But I still believe that the boy is guilty of murder, and I have 2 reasons why. First, the fact that the woman saw the killing being committed.
Yeah, to me, that's probably the most significant testimony in the whole case. And that's the case.
And 2, the fact that the woman described the stabbing by saying that she saw the boy raise his arm over his head and commit the stabbing, even if it was the wrong way, she saw him do it.
Absolutely right. That's right.
Now let's talk about this woman for a minute. She said that she went to bed at about 11 o'clock that night. Her bed was right next to the window, and the window could look out directly into the boy's window from across the tracks. Now, the woman tossed and turned for over an hour, unable to fall asleep. And then, when the train was running by, she saw the act being committed through the windows of the last 2 cars. The lights went out immediately after that, but she got a good look at the boy in the act of stabbing his father. That, to me, is unshakable testimony.
Yeah, I mean, there it is. There's the whole case for you.
What do you think? Or, okay, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. It's just there's just so much evidence to sift through. Now, this jury stuff is complicated business, you know?
Oh, okay. Frankly, I don't see how we can vote for acquittal.
Oh.
Well, I don't know. It's just not easy to arrange all the evidence in order.
You don't have to look at the other evidence. I mean, she saw him do it. What more do you want?
Well, I don't know. Maybe she did. Maybe she did.
Maybe she did. Maybe she did.
I'm changing my vote. I think he's guilty.
Oh, okay. We're 8-4.
Yeah. What makes you consider this one vote a personal victory?
Well, maybe I'm the competitive type. I'll tell you what I do think. I'll tell you what I think. I think we are a hung jury.
No.
I think we should go to the judge. I think we should take it to the judge and say, we don't know.
Okay, look, I don't understand this. Before, you didn't want a hung jury.
Well, I do now.
Wait a minute, you thought it was immoral
Well,
to
I
do
don't
this.
think it's immoral anymore. Look. Some of the people around this table are so goddamn stubborn, they are never going to change their minds. We could argue this for a week, they're never going to come round. Well, I want to hear some arguments. Come on, you're the leader of the cause. What do you say?
Let's get over it again. We can go over it again.
We've been over it again and again and again. J. Walter Thompson over
Hey!
here is bouncing backwards and forwards like a tennis ball.
Just shut your mouth up. I mean, you have no right to say that about
Oh, I apologize on my knees, but come on, let's get out from under this thing.
Okay, look, maybe it would be reasonable to start setting some kind of a time limit now. The time is...
It's 6:15.
Okay, 6:15. Somebody before mentioned 7 o'clock, and I think that's about a reasonable time.
Don't you feel well?
I feel perfectly fine, thank you. Now, well, I was trying to say that 7 o'clock would be
The reason that I asked you that is because I see you rubbing the side of your nose. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but
Okay,
the gesture you're making reminds me of something.
Okay, I'm trying to settle something important here now. Do you mind?
This is important.
Very well.
Thank you. And I'm sure you'll pardon me for this, but why are you rubbing the sides of your nose like that?
Oh, come on now. God.
Right now, I'm talking to that lady. Now, why are you rubbing your nose?
Well, if it's any of your business, maybe I was rubbing it because it bothers me a little.
Is it because of your eyeglasses?
Yes, it is. Now, can we move on?
Your eyeglasses make those deep impressions in the side of your nose. I hadn't noticed that before. That must be annoying.
Well, yes, they are very annoying.
Yeah, I wouldn't know about that. I don't wear glasses 2020.
Listen, will you come on already with the optometrist bit?
The woman that testified that she saw the killing had those same deep marks on the side of her nose.
That's right, she did.
That's right. I think she did. I think, yeah.
No, wait. Now, please, let me just finish for a minute, and then we can go on. But I don't know if anyone else noticed that, but I didn't think about it then. But I keep going over her face in my mind. She had those deep marks on the side of her nose, and she kept rubbing them in court.
She's right. That lady did that a lot.
This was a 55-year-old woman who was trying to look tremendously younger. I mean, she had freshly dyed hair and heavy makeup and clothes much more suitable for a very young woman, and no eyeglasses. See if you can get a mental picture of her.
What do you mean, no eyeglasses? You don't know she wore glasses just because she had rubbing marks?
She had no eyeglasses, I don't think.
Yeah, I sat next to her. She had those marks, those deep marks.
So what's the point? So what are you getting at?
Well, she had those marks.
Okay, so she had dyed hair and marks on her nose, so what?
Could those marks be made by anything other than eyeglasses?
No, they can't.
Oh, come on, what are you talking about? I didn't see any marks.
I did. It's funny, but I actually didn't think about it either.
Well, why didn't the lawyer bring it up?
There were 12 people here concentrating on this case. 11 of us didn't think of this either.
Okay, Clarence Darrell, what about the district attorney? Why didn't he bring it up?
Didn't you ever see a woman who had to wear glasses and she didn't want to because she thought they'd ruin her looks?
Yeah, my wife. I'm telling you, as soon as we walk out of the house.
Maybe the district attorney didn't know it either.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Okay. So she had marks on the side of her nose. I'll give you that. And they were made by glasses, right? Made by glasses. And she didn't want to wear the glasses outside of the house so people would think she was gorgeous, right? But when she saw the kid stabbing his father, she was inside her house alone. That's all.
Do you wear glasses when you go to bed?
Nobody wears eyeglasses.
Of course, nobody wears glasses.
It's logical to think that the woman was not wearing her glasses while she was tossing and turning trying to fall asleep.
Come on, how do you know?
I don't know, I'm only guessing. And I'm also guessing that she probably, when she looked out and turned out and looked out the window, she wasn't wearing her glasses either. Because when she looked out, she said that the murder took place, and she looked out, and then the lights went off a second later.
Now, wait a second here.
And here's another guess. Maybe she honestly thought that she saw the boy kill his father. I say she only saw a blur.
Now, how do you know what she saw? You don't know what she saw. You don't know about her son. Maybe she was farsighted. Hey, maybe she wore sunglasses. What the hell do you know about it?
I only know that the woman's eyesight is in question now.
She had to identify a person 60 feet away, in the dark, without the glasses.
And you can send someone off to die on evidence like that, sir?
Oh, don't give me that.
Don't you think she might have made a mistake?
No.
It's not possible.
It's not possible.
Do you think it's possible?
Yeah. The boy's not guilty.
Do you still think he's guilty?
Yeah, I still think he's guilty, but you bastards can do whatever the fuck you want.
How do you vote?
Not guilty.
God, you are the worst kind of a bitch!
Does anyone else here think he's guilty?
No, I'm convinced.
What are you talking about?
I vote not guilty. And I have reasonable doubt if you're asking me why I'm doing that.
What about all the other stuff? What about the knife and all that stuff?
You say we don't have to look on the other evidence, sir. Remember.
You're alone.
I don't care that I'm alone. I have my rights.
Is your right?
Well, what you're gonna do, I think, is guilty.
We want to hear your arguments.
You've heard my arguments.
We're not convinced. We want to hear them again. We have as much time as it takes.
Everything that came out of that goddamn courtroom, every single thing says that boy's guilty. What do you think I am, a goddamn idiot or something? You turned into a bunch of lousy bleeding hearts? Well, you're not intimidating me. I can sit in this courtroom for a year. I say he's guilty. Well, say something, someone. Okay, let's take it then. Let's talk about the father, the old man who heard everything, and the knife. I mean, just because he found another knife that was like it. I mean, the old man heard him. The old man saw him on the stairs. What difference does a few seconds make? What's the difference? The knife fell through a hole in the pocket. You can't prove that the old man didn't get to the door. You can hobble around this jury room all you like, but you can't prove it. What about the marks on the woman's nose? You don't know that she wore glasses. Everything says that kid's guilty. The phrase he used. He said to his father, "I'm gonna kill you." To his father. You know, I don't care what kind of a man that was. It was his father. I know those kids. I know what they're like, those goddamn kids. They kill you every day. God, why can't the rest of you see this? And I can feel that knife going in, you know?
He's not your boy. He's someone else.
Let him live.
Okay, not guilty.
We have a verdict.
All right, take your seats in the jury box.
25 minutes. We're gonna provide the chair. Kalau ada yang mau bertanya silahkan. Yes.
You guys move. Stand up. Stand up. We have to move this back. We have to make it straight. So there's room for the panel. It's not us. You know, we can use these chairs. No, it's okay. We need the panelists up here. He'll be right back. Okay, one of the panelists will be right back. But Terry and we've got Alex. Oh, did you want to sit up over here? Okay, just did you want to sit or stand? What are you better with? You could sit. Yeah. Okay. Who else? Terry, did you want to start it? Okay, that's what I meant. Okay, you guys sit down. I'm sorry? Yeah. Just.
Did you have a question? Go ahead. Yeah. Thanks. My name is also Alex. My question is, I've heard the term hung jury. Now, if you have hung jury for so many times, how long does it take? Is there any statutory limitation for how long it's going to take until you have to have new set of jury or something like that? To take years, years, or any?
If there's a hung jury, what happens is a brand new jury is impaneled and the case is retried. There is a limitation on how many times the government can retry a case because the government could wear a defendant out and impoverish him by continually trying a case again and again and again. Now, how many times that is a question of the Constitution. It's not set forth exactly how many times, but eventually a judge would say to the government, you've tried this case 3 times, no more. You've got a hung jury every single time, you can't try the case anymore.
Untuk pertanyaan tadi mengenai hung jury, berapa kali sebenarnya hung jury itu bisa dilaksanakan? Sebenarnya dimaksud dengan hung jury itu adalah bila terjadi hung jury tidak ada keputusan, maka yang terjadi adalah persidangan akan diulang kembali dari awal, diulang kembali. Dan ada batasan memang seberapa banyak pihak negara itu dapat menyidangkan seorang terdakwa. Tapi biasanya ada batasannya berapa banyak. Dan karena itu dibatasi, karena terdakwa itu akan berada dalam posisi yang tidak menguntungkan selama persidangan berjalan, maka terdakwa akan berada dalam posisi di mana dia tidak bisa melakukan kehidupannya secara normal. Jadi biasa dibatasi, pembatasannya itu ditentukan oleh konstitusi, tapi tidak ada angka yang pasti yang menentukan seberapa kali persidangan dapat diulang karena hung jury. Biasanya keputusan itu diambil oleh hakim. Hakim bisa menyatakan, oke, negara Anda sudah menyidangkan kasus yang sama sebanyak 3 kali dan selalu berakhir dengan hung jury. Maka dengan demikian tidak boleh lagi ada pengulangan persidangan diakhiri saat ini. Itu bisa dilakukan, diambil keputusannya oleh seorang hakim.
I should tell you that when we have a hung jury, although we in the government are not very happy about it, we will come right back and try the case again. And the second time we try the case, we will know exactly what the defendant said. And so we will be much, much better prepared the second time, and we usually win the second time. The most number of times my office in Chicago tried a case was 3 times, and the 3rd time he was convicted. But if we had to try it again, we would simply have walked away and said, okay, the case is over.
Dan bila terjadi hung jury, memang itu sebuah hasil yang tidak dianggap sebagai suatu hasil yang menyenangkan bagi pihak negara terutama. Namun bila terjadi hung jury, maka tentu saja saya sebagai jaksa mewakili pihak negara akan melakukan persidangan, mengajukan kembali penuntutan untuk kedua kalinya. Dan biasanya pada saat persidangan yang kedua kalinya, kami pihak negara sudah mengetahui kesaksian apa yang disampaikan oleh saksi, apa yang menjadi pendapat dari terdakwa. Jadi biasanya dalam persidangan kedua kami sudah lebih siap. Dan biasanya untuk persidangan yang berulang, kemungkinan kami untuk memenangkan persidangan itu jauh lebih besar. Di kantor saya ketika saya bertugas di Chicago, jumlah terbanyak saya pernah mengulang persidangan itu 3 kali. Dan biasanya dalam persidangan yang ketiga, maka kami mendapatkan putusan bersalah. Dan bila misalnya terjadi hang juri kembali untuk ketiga kalinya atau untuk keempat kalinya, maka biasanya kami pihak negara akan mengundurkan diri.
Since one of the themes tonight is bigotry, you should know that the case that was hung 3 times was a case where Chicago police officers, white Chicago police officers, had arrested a young black male individual who had a felony conviction, and he had a handgun. And under American law, that is a 15-year sentence in prison for someone who has a felony to be in possession of a illegal of a weapon. And so when we went to trial in that case, we had an African-American jury. And every single time we tried that case, until the last time, the jury did not believe the white police officers because, possibly correctly, they believed that the police officers were racist and had planted the gun on the suspect.
Dan terkait dengan drama yang tadi baru saja Anda saksikan mengenai konsep dari drama ini sebenarnya adalah mengenai bigotry, dan kemudian ada sebuah kasus yang menghasilkan hang juri sebanyak 3 kali. Sebenarnya ini ada kisah nyatanya. Ada satu kasus yang berakhir dengan hang juri sebanyak 3 kali di Chicago. Itu adalah kasus yang melibatkan seorang petugas polisi di Chicago yang berkulit putih. Petugas polisi ini menangkap seorang laki-laki muda berkulit hitam. Dan anak muda ini memang sudah mempunyai catatan kriminal, telah dinyatakan bersalah melakukan tindak pidana berat, dan kemudian dia ditemukan memiliki senjata api. Di sistem hukum Amerika, seseorang yang sudah dinyatakan bersalah karena tindak pidana berat itu dilarang memiliki senjata api. Bila dia ditemukan memiliki senjata api, maka itu dianggap sebagai faktor pemberat, dan dia bisa dihukum sebanyak selama 15 tahun penjara. Dan dalam ketiga persidangan tersebut, di antara juri itu selalu ada anggota juri yang adalah warga negara Afrika Amerika yang berkulit hitam. Jadi mereka selalu menghasilkan keputusan di mana juri tidak mempercayai petugas polisi tersebut, mungkin untuk alasan-alasan yang benar. Petugas polisi ini dianggap memiliki sikap yang rasis, dan juga dianggap telah secara sengaja menempatkan senjata api itu di tangan terdakwa.
Any more questions?
There's Alexei.
Okay, this gentleman first, then up.
Okay, this gentleman here. Then there's somebody up there.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Wisnu Susatyo. Actually, I'm father of one of the jury here. I have a question about the not guilty verdict in this case just shown us here. The argument is just showing that there is some doubt about, making this boy guilty. The verdict not guilty is very strong, right? Not guilty, but he could be guilty, but there are some doubt. Can you elaborate more on that?
2 important points. Not guilty doesn't mean he's innocent. And a good example would be O.J. Simpson. Everybody knows O.J. Simpson killed his wife, his girlfriend. But the jury found him not guilty. When the jury found him not guilty, it was because they concluded, we think it was for racist reasons, but they found there was reasonable doubt. So not guilty does not mean that someone's innocent. It simply means the government has failed to meet its proof. And this happens fairly often in the United States, is that we have a case, we know the guy's guilty, but we can't prove it in court. And so the person walks free. And we would rather see 10 people go free rather than have one innocent man convicted and found guilty. The other interesting thing about the United States is once you're found not guilty, there is no appeal. In Indonesia, if the state loses, you can appeal, and on appeal, he can be found guilty. In the United States, once you're found not guilty, you can never be tried for that offense again. We call it double jeopardy. The government gets one shot to find you guilty. If we lose, we cannot appeal. If the defendant is found guilty, he can appeal and he can get it reversed, but the government cannot appeal.
Ada 2 poin memang yang ingin saya angkat di sini. Pertama, keputusan not guilty itu tidak sama dengan keputusan innocent. Bukan berarti dia innocent. Seorang dinyatakan not guilty bukan berarti dia innocent. Contohnya adalah kasus O.J. Simpson. Semua orang tahu bahwa dia membunuh istrinya atau kekasihnya pada saat itu. Namun juri memutuskan bahwa O.J. Simpson itu not guilty. Dinyatakan keputusannya adalah not guilty. Kami waktu itu diduga bahwa juri mengeluarkan keputusan tersebut karena masalah rasial pada saat itu. Tapi sebenarnya juri membuat keputusan tersebut karena mereka memiliki reasonable doubt. Mereka memiliki keraguan-raguan yang masuk akal. Dan itu diakibatkan karena pihak negara saat itu, pihak penuntut saat itu tidak berhasil membuktikan tuntutan mereka di persidangan. Jadi kami melihat bahwa kami merasa bahwa lebih baik memang ada 10 orang yang bersalah itu bebas daripada ada 1 orang yang tidak bersalah itu dimasukkan ke dalam penjara. Dan satu hal juga yang menarik dalam sistem hukum Amerika Serikat bahwa bila ada terdakwa, bila ada seseorang dinyatakan tidak bersalah, maka negara tidak dibolehkan, tidak diizinkan untuk mengajukan banding. Kalau di Indonesia, di sistem hukum Indonesia, bila pihak penuntut itu kalah dalam persidangan, mereka dapat mengajukan banding dan keputusan di tingkat pengadilan yang terlebih dahulu yang telah menyatakan bahwa terdakwa tidak bersalah, itu di tingkat yang lebih tinggi itu bisa dibalik, bisa dibatalkan keputusannya dan kemudian terdakwa dianggap tidak bersalah ataupun bersalah. Jadi bagi kami di sistem hukum Amerika tidak diizinkan bila pengadilan sudah mengatakan bahwa terdakwa tidak bersalah, maka keputusan itu tidak bisa dibanding. Karena ada sebuah konsep yang namanya double jeopardy, seseorang tidak dapat disidang untuk 2 kasus yang sama. Namun bila seorang terdakwa dinyatakan bersalah, terdakwa bisa mengajukan banding. Mereka bisa mengajukan banding ke tingkat yang lebih tinggi dan keputusan pengadilan yang lebih tinggi bisa menyatakan bahwa terdakwa tidak bersalah. Namun pihak penuntut tidak bisa mengajukan banding.
Thanks for the show. It's very good. My question is, why the jury was so angry? They doesn't seem really care about this verdict. They doesn't really care about this boy. They really care about something else. And only one man really care about this verdict. And if this one man doesn't fight that much, then the story will be very different. How does the jury chosen? Does they really volunteer for that? Thank you.
What? How the jury was chosen? No, how is the jury chosen? What he's saying is...
Okay, the way the jury is chosen in the United States is, it's supposed to be a jury of your peers, which means we go to voter lists and driver license lists, which means that anybody who is registered as a voter, which is essentially everybody in the community, and anybody who has a driver's license, who is essentially everybody in the community, is selected.
Cara kami di Amerika Serikat memilih juri itu adalah, yang dipilih itu adalah memang konsepnya adalah orang-orang yang sama dengan terdakwa, jadi sesama, peer itu adalah orang yang dipilih. Jadi cara kami melakukan pemilihan juri adalah menggunakan semua orang yang terdaftar dalam daftar pemilihan umum. Jadi bisa dikatakan hampir semua orang di Amerika Serikat namanya itu masuk dalam daftar pemilihan umum, maka mereka bisa dipilih secara acak untuk menjadi anggota juri. Dan juga daftar kedua yang kami gunakan itu adalah daftar pemilik surat izin mengemudi. Jadi boleh dikatakan juga hampir semua orang di Amerika itu memiliki SIM, jadi mereka bisa terpilih untuk menjadi anggota juri.
So we will send out a notice. The court system will send out a notice to maybe, if I have a jury and I need 12 jurors and I might need 2 alternates in case the jurors get sick, we'll send out a notice to 100 people and ask them to come to court. And then the judge, the defense lawyer, and the prosecutor will all question the jury. And we'll try to get a feeling for who they are, and we'll try to get a feeling to make sure that they will be impartial and fair.
Jadi kami akan memberikan pemberitahuan. Misalnya ada satu persidangan yang akan dimulai dan itu artinya pengadilan memerlukan 12 orang anggota juri plus 2 orang cadangan biasanya. Karena siapa tahu di antara 12 orang anggota juri tersebut ada yang sakit atau berhalangan sehingga harus digantikan. Biasanya jadi kami memilih 12 orang anggota juri plus 2. Biasanya sistem kami akan secara otomatis mengirimkan surat panggilan kepada kurang lebih 100 orang. Mereka dipanggil untuk datang ke pengadilan dan kemudian di dalam pengadilan hakim, jaksa penuntut, dan pengacara pembela akan mulai melakukan pemeriksaan terhadap semua orang tersebut. Kami akan mengajukan serangkaian pertanyaan untuk mengetahui, untuk mengenal lebih dalam siapa saja mereka, dan kemudian juga untuk menentukan apakah kira-kira orang-orang ini akan bisa membuat keputusan secara imparsial dan secara adil.
And both of the lawyers, the prosecutor and the defense attorney, get so many, we call them peremptory strikes, where we can say, I don't like this person, I don't want them on the juror, and I don't really have to explain why. And then I'm also allowed to strike jurors who I don't think will be impartial. Maybe this person told me they were a police officer and I don't think they can be fair with my client. Or maybe in my case, I've been selected for jury several times. The defense attorneys will always strike me because they think as a prosecutor, I'm going to convict. So that's how we select the jury. We essentially agree on 12 people that we think can be fair and impartial. They're put in the box. They're instructed instructed on the law by the judge, and then they hear the evidence.
Dan jaksa dan pengacara pembela pada saat pemeriksaan calon-calon anggota juri, mereka berhak untuk memilih dan mengeluarkan siapa saja anggota-anggota juri yang mereka anggap tepat untuk duduk di dalam juri tersebut. Jadi mereka bisa memilih dan mengeluarkan calon-calon anggota berdasarkan pemikiran mereka saja. Mereka tidak harus menjelaskan mengapa mereka mengeluarkan calon anggota juri tertentu. Bisa saja karena mereka merasa bahwa si calon anggota juri ini dianggap tidak bisa membuat keputusan secara imparsial, tidak bisa dianggap membuat keputusan secara adil, maka jaksa penuntut ataupun pengacara pembela berhak menyisihkan orang tersebut dari anggota juri. Jadi misalnya si calon anggota juri itu adalah polisi, maka bisa saja pengacara pembela akan menganggap bahwa polisi tidak akan bisa membuat keputusan secara adil atau imparsial terhadap terdakwa. Demikian pula juga dengan Pak Terry, karena dia adalah seorang jaksa, kebetulan dia juga sudah beberapa kali pernah dipanggil untuk bertugas menjadi juri, maka pengacara pembela tidak akan memilih Pak Terry, karena dianggap Pak Terry dengan latar belakangnya sebagai seorang jaksa, maka dia tidak akan dianggap sebagai orang yang bisa berpikiran imparsial maupun adil terhadap terdakwa. Jadi begitu cara kami memilih 12 orang anggota juri tadi, kemudian mereka akan diminta untuk duduk di kotak juri, dan hakim akan memberikan instruksi-instruksi hukum kepada juri sebelum persidangan dimulai.
Can you hear me? Oh, I'd like to add something on I mean, one of the things I think is so strong about the U.S. system is a jury of your peers. And in theory, that's a spectacular system, but in practice, what makes up a peer has been something which has been everything from misunderstood to abused. And I mean, there are just boatloads and long lists of cases where innocent people were found guilty and vice versa because the jury was made up of individuals who were not representative of the person who was guilty. The most glaring examples are in the South, long ago and not that long ago, where the defendant was black and the juries were all white, or where the defendant was white and the evidence was overwhelming and the jury found innocent, and that is where racism entered the jury room. And that's one thing which the prosecutor and the defense attorney work hard at today, trying to make sure that the jury is one which is representative of the peers of the individual charged. But that doesn't always work out. That makes the system imperfect. And like I said, there are countless cases where people's biases, racism is the easiest example, but it's not the only one. It's the most prevalent example, where convictions or findings of not guilty were done because of a person's personal bias or personal racism that they brought into the court case. We have one great example here, but if you were ever to, her character, of course I'm referring to. But one of the great things about this play also on that is if you were to read the play, you never know the quote-unquote group that is being discriminated against. You don't know the background at all of the person that's accused. None of these roles have names. Literally, when we got the cast, it's your jury, juror 1, juror 2, juror 3, that's it. There were 2 movies and then a television movie made on this play, and each of them had a completely different makeup of the jury. Yeah, oh, sorry, I forgot. Sorry.
Satu.
Yep.
Ada memang satu poin yang sangat kuat dalam sistem hukum Amerika Serikat, yaitu kelebihannya, kekuatannya itu adalah pemilihan jury of your peer. Jury of your peer atau juri yang terdiri dari sesama. Ini sebuah konsep yang secara teori memang sebuah konsep yang sangat baik, tapi secara praktek pengertian atau definisi dari peer atau sesama ini merupakan sebuah konsep yang sering kali disalahpahami dan juga disalahgunakan. Dan keakibatnya banyak sekali orang-orang yang tidak bersalah itu dinyatakan bersalah, dan juga demikian pula sebaliknya, karena pengertian peer ini yang sering kali disalahpahami itu disalahgunakan. Banyak contoh-contoh yang bisa dilihat itu biasanya kasus-kasus yang terjadi belum lama yang lalu, mungkin di bagian selatan Amerika Serikat, di mana misalnya terdakwa itu adalah seseorang yang berkulit hitam, dan juri itu mayoritas adalah orang-orang yang berkulit putih. Dan akibatnya seringkali terdakwa dinyatakan bersalah, tidak peduli bukti-bukti apa yang diajukan. Atau mungkin bila terdakwanya adalah seseorang yang berkulit putih dan ada sekian banyak bukti-bukti yang kuat yang menunjukkan bahwa memang terdakwa itu bersalah, namun tetap juri menyatakan keputusan bahwa terdakwa tidak bersalah. Ini adalah masa-masa ketika pemikiran-pemikiran rasial ini masih sangat berpengaruh. Tapi tetap hingga saat ini pihak jaksa penuntut dan pengacara pembela bekerja keras untuk memastikan bahwa juri itu benar-benar terwakili dengan baik atas peer dari terdakwa, atas kelompok-kelompok anggota masyarakat yang dianggap sesama atau setara dengan terdakwa. Jadi memang ini adalah sebuah sistem yang tidak sempurna, bukanlah sebuah sistem yang sempurna karena masih seringkali dipengaruhi oleh pemikiran-pemikiran rasial seperti yang ditampilkan atau dicontohkan oleh drama tadi, dan juga dipengaruhi banyak sekali oleh bias-bias pribadi, pemikiran-pemikiran personal dari orang-orang yang menjadi bagian dari juri tersebut. Dan drama tadi merupakan contoh yang sangat baik yang menunjukkan kepada Anda bagaimana pemikiran-pemikiran pribadi tadi mempengaruhi keputusan yang dibuat oleh juri. Dan dari drama yang tadi ditampilkan, Anda tidak akan bisa mengenal sebenarnya, tidak bisa mengidentifikasi kelompok ras mana sebenarnya yang mengalami diskriminasi tadi. Karena memang tidak dijelaskan, tidak dituliskan di dalam naskah, dan juga bagi kami pun sebagai pemain, kami pun mendapatkan nama tidak berdasarkan nama orang, tapi kami hanya diidentifikasi hanya juri nomor 1, juri nomor 2, juri nomor 3, dan seterusnya. Dan sudah ada banyak modifikasi dari drama ini sudah ditampilkan dalam berbagai bentuk, dan juga sudah ada beberapa film yang dihasilkan adaptasi dari naskah ini. Tidak ada yang mengidentifikasi secara jelas ras yang mengalami diskriminasi ini.
I'm really sorry.
We have time for just one more question, and I think you had a question.
It's very, very quick.
No, it's fine, because I think I'd also like to hear about not only the jury system, but there is the issue which was so horrible for me, was the discrimination and bigotry of some of the jurors here.
But I think it's a lack of empathy, and I think the architect was so wonderful. What the jury showed, I think prejudice isn't always the issue, John. I think it's the ability to see the world from somebody else's place. And that's what people take they take their little bubble. And if your little bubble doesn't include people like the person on trial, you can't see their experience. And a quick comment on O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson's trial was a colossal group of errors. And I do think I do think he killed those people. At least 30% of black people do. But he should have been tried in Brentwood where he lived. he shouldn't have had that stupid judge. They shouldn't have thrown all those jurors off. There are a lot of reasons that O.J. Simpson walked around to get arrested in Las Vegas, and the prosecutor started that it was like the perfect storm of stupidity. So, and Barry Scheck talked about the fallibility of DNA until he met O.J. Simpson's NFL money, and then DNA was not always fallible. So O.J. Simpson, there were a whole lot of reasons. What O.J. Simpson proved was if you have enough money, you can buy your way out of anything. That's what he proved.
Let me respond to that because we put a lot of people in prison in Chicago who have lots and lots of money. And I don't think that's the case, that money means you can get out.
I disagree with you. There are a few rich people who go, but I think O.J. Simpson showed if you can buy a dream team of lawyers when his blood was mixed with their blood on the walk, and he didn't go to jail. If you have a public defender, you're going to jail.
No,
if you have that group of lawyers,
I completely disagree because I'm in the courtroom public defenders all the time, and they're some of the best attorneys because they're in the courtroom all the time. But I do agree that in the United States, if you have money, you're going to get a better defense. But that doesn't mean you're going to get off. Yeah, but it doesn't mean you're going to get off. And we put a lot of rich people in prison.
Okay, but if we look at the statistics, I think we're going to see a whole lot more poor people in jail than rich people. And rich people even go to better jails.
No, I'm sorry, you're wrong. They don't. I'm not, but okay. Well, I'm in the business. I don't think you are.
I think though to the part on the empathy part, I mean, to me that's kind of I may have said, and I'm not trying to defend myself, but I may have said racism but I think of it as bias in general, and I agree entirely that it's I think a lack of empathy is probably a better way of saying it. But people that come in and they have no means of looking through the other person's eyes, and so what they do then is they'd make a lot of assumptions. Oh, this person, I think Rose stepped out, but
John, we have to keep going.
they make the assumption, oh, probably drunk on cheap wine, probably this, probably that, the kinds of things that they would have seen on television or on shows.
But, okay, Lexi says we have to move on. But one of the reasons that we also, unfortunately, Alex didn't get a chance to speak, was that not only were we talking about the jury system, but this play was written in the 1950s, and it was glaring, obviously, back then that there's prejudice all over the world for certain issues. And one of the things that is even happening now. And, we're just hoping that possibly Alex could just give a few points of how he actually, even today when he goes to the airport, things that happen to him because he's a man of dark skin.
Hello? Yeah, so Alex is my alias, but I go by Emmanuel. I'm actually from Ghana in West Africa, and Myra and I met in Ghana during one of her talks in one of the American corners. But in any case, I've never had to deal with the fact that I'm a black person, I'm an African, until I think I came to this country. It wasn't that obvious to me. Of course, I was in a sea of black people, but it's been an interesting experience. I was in the U.S. last year for 9 weeks, and this year we went back for summer for, about a month, and every time the least favorite part of my trips is going through Indonesian airports. It's just I can't even begin to tell you. But on one of our trips from Australia, that was when one of the ladies, I won't mention the name of the airline, told us at the desk that, if you are from Africa, you are automatically flagged. So you are subjected to secondary screening. On this summer trip, we stood at the desk for about an hour and 15 minutes when the airline officials were calling the U.S. immigration to verify if my U.S. visa was valid, was authentic. And it's been interesting for me because on so many levels, I've never understood it. We've been to a few countries in the region here. We've been to the Philippines. We've been to a few places, but it seemed particularly maybe not unique. I know skin color is a big deal in this part of the world, but you know, I can't begin to tell you the stories. There's just too many of them. You know, from a taxi driver telling me that I'm dirty because I'm a dark person, and that he will give me creams to, you know, lighten up so I'll be beautiful. So, you know, it's just a lot of it. But I sort of began to. It was interesting listening to, watching the play, particularly the one who played the character, the lady. It was interesting because she kept saying them, and they are born that way. And you know, here, for instance, every dark male that you see on the street is a Nigerian drug dealer, you know, a Nigerian drug dealer, and so, you know, I'm the Nigerian drug dealer. By the way, Ghana is about 3 countries next to, Nigeria, but they are totally different countries, different cultures. I mean, there are similarities all across the continent, but they are totally different countries. But even if, you know, let me just tell you this story. A few weeks, I don't know when this was, but there was a story that some pirates had been cut off the coast of Nigeria. One of them was Indonesian, and I was like, let me ask any Indonesian how they would feel like if they were thought of by, you know, any West African that's, you know, because one Indonesian was caught as a pirate, that, oh, they are all pirates. You know, it wouldn't be, you need to translate, yeah.
Everybody keep forgetting this, okay. Ini memperkenalkan, beliau adalah Alex dari Ghana, dari West Africa, dan berdasarkan pengalaman beliau mengatakan sebenarnya dia belum pernah mengalami atau berhadapan dengan isu rasial sampai akhirnya tiba dan tinggal di Indonesia dan di kawasan ini. Karena ya secara otomatis memang sebelumnya beliau tinggal di daerah yang memang dipenuhi dan mayoritas penduduknya itu adalah warga negara berkulit hitam. Tapi di Indonesia dia berhadapan dengan permasalahan besar untuk mengenai masalah rasial ini. Dan permasalahan terbesar itu adalah biasanya terjadi di bandara. Yang paling parah menurut pengalamannya itu adalah di bandara Indonesia. Belum lama ini ia melakukan perjalanan ingin bepergian ke Australia. Seorang petugas perempuan, petugas penerbangan yang bertugas di bandara menyatakan bahwa Pak Alex secara otomatis karena kulitnya hitam, maka secara otomatis dia akan mendapatkan flag dalam sistem informasi penerbangan. Jadi secara otomatis dia akan harus melalui pemeriksaan yang kedua, pemeriksaan lapis kedua. Jadi ketika dia berusaha untuk check-in masuk ke dalam untuk mengikuti penerbangan ini, dia harus menunggu selama kurang lebih 1,5 jam di meja check-in penerbangan untuk menunggu sampai petugas meja check-in ini bisa memanggil atasannya dan atasannya bisa memastikan bahwa visa Amerika yang ia miliki itu adalah visa yang valid. Dan memang lebih banyak lagi cerita-cerita lain berdasarkan pengalaman beliau yang menceritakan permasalahan-permasalahan seperti itu yang muncul karena warna kulitnya dan karena rasnya. Belum lagi termasuk cerita-cerita misalnya supir taksi yang menawarkan tawaran untuk membawa Pak Alex pergi ke salon-salon yang bisa memutihkan warna kulitnya supaya dia terlihat lebih cantik. Jadi masih banyak lagi cerita-cerita seperti itu yang dia alami, dan menarik sekali dalam drama tadi ada seorang karakter yang terus menggunakan istilah them, menggunakan istilah kata-kata menyebutkan terdakwa dengan mereka. Jadi menganggap dirinya sebagai satu kelompok dan anggota masyarakat dari kelompok lain itu sebagai seorang di luar mereka, sebagai seorang yang berbeda. Dan Pak Alex di Indonesia hanya berhubung karena warna kulitnya hitam, maka dia selalu otomatis dianggap sebagai pengedar narkoba dari Nigeria. Jadi hanya berhubung warna kulitnya sama, maka dia otomatis dianggap sebagai pengedar narkoba dari Nigeria. Tidak ada orang yang peduli bahwa Ghana itu sebenarnya negara yang berbeda dengan Nigeria, 3 negara terpisah jauhnya dari Nigeria. Dan tapi semua orang otomatis menganggap dia sebagai seorang Nigeria. Dan bahkan ada cerita-cerita lain, misalnya belum lama ini ditemukan bahwa seorang pembajak laut yang baru saja tertangkap di Laut Afrika, ditemukan bahwa salah satu dari pembajak tersebut adalah warga negara Indonesia. Beliau selalu penasaran apakah ada orang-orang Indonesia yang berpikiran sekarang apa perasaan mereka kalau sekarang dinyatakan bahwa ternyata satu orang dari pembajak tersebut adalah warga negara Indonesia. Apa sih tanggapan warga negara Indonesia secara keseluruhan kalau sekarang mereka semua dicap sebagai pembajak?
Well, unfortunately, we have to close the night because it's been a long night, and we thank you all for being here. But just, let me close with a couple of things. One of the things about this whole play was because our jury system, as we said, as Terry Kinney had said earlier, we do have a jury system that it is our peers. We have that. That's a great right. A lot of us love that we have that. And then also there is, even within our jury system, as we had shown here, yes, there are prejudices, but that's some of the things that we can all fight against. Every country around the world, all different people have been discriminated, and there's been bigotry. So it's not only here, it's not only Russia, the United States, it's everywhere, and that's something we should all really fight against. And that we can have people like the 8th juror here, who's the architect, who with thoughtful consideration showed us we have to turn and open our minds and look at how we can actually listen to someone else. And we found the young boy not guilty. So thank you all for being here. And this was really nice because we've never done this as Jakarta players. So please tell your friends that if you enjoyed the show, we're actually doing it, as Danny had said earlier, on the 14th, 15th, and 16th at, somebody say it in Indonesian. Okay, which is, and we raise money for Habitat for Humanity. And we are a big group that does have other things going on, and we are a true community theater. We are half Indonesian and half crazy expats. So please join us. Thank you.
Thank you for all the players. I have all the actors and panelists to take pictures with the Ad America logo as the traditions. Yes, you do. Oke, terima kasih dan selamat malam kepada teman-teman yang sudah datang malam ini. Bisa cek website kita atamerica.or.id untuk event-event kita selanjutnya. Sedikit mengingatkan saja, besok ada stand up comedian. So if you